Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Birds of a Feather, live from the Real Talk Studios on A2DRadio.com. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. We appreciate you guys joining us. First half of the show brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours. I apologize for my mic there. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com. Our Scanzano Sports poll question of the week. Who's the best cornerback in the NFL right now heading into the 2018 season? As we've been doing over the last few weeks and shows, we have been picking positions. We've been going through rankings going into the year. We'll do cornerback this year, and I think this is our first defensive position that we've done, right? We've done wide receiver, tight end.
Moved on from offense. Now we're into defense.
So we're into some defense.
Yep.
You got Chrome here and Chucks, as usual, joining us once again here. Paulie from Philadelphia, NBC Sports Philadelphia. He's back with us again. Stepping in for Mr. Brodo, we have Frank Vespi over here on the ones and twos. Frank, thanks for stepping in, buddy.
Vespi.
Welcome back.
Oh, no bro.
No bro
We
today.
got no bro today.
We don't have the bro today. But our Scanzano Sports poll question options are Jalen Ramsey, Casey Hayward, Xavier Rhodes, Darius Slay, whoever else you guys may want to throw in there. So let's kick it off.
Yeah.
Let's go with, Paulie's got the Phillies game on here, which we have an update 5-1 Philadelphia Phillies right now. Your first place Philadelphia Phillies.
First place Philadelphia Phillies.
First place Philadelphia Phillies. Should we let Charles just run down his list already?
Yeah, I feel like what happens is Charles goes over it, and then there's like a guy we forgot about or something that Charles reminds us of. So I think it's always best to let Charles go first.
All right. So, I ended up ranking 13.
Of course.
Just because there were
Shock.
names.
Of course you did.
But all right. So I'm going 1, Jalen Ramsey.
Okay.
2, Casey Hayward. 3, Xavier Rhodes. 4, Patrick Peterson. 5, Marshawn Lattimore. 6, AJ Bouye. 7, Darius Slay. And I hate that he's that low, but just how it worked out. 8, Marcus Peters. 9, Jimmy Smith. 10, Desmond Trufant. 11, Josh Norman. 12, Richard Sherman, and 13, Kyle Fuller.
All right, well, give us a little rundown why you picked who and where you put them at.
Well, Jalen Ramsey, I think that's pretty much – he is now the best corner. I think if you were a little hesitant to crown him yet, I think his past season in 2017 pretty much put him in that spot. It's hard to find someone who wouldn't put him at the top spot.
I think it's Jalen Ramsey and everybody else.
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey.
I think number 2, Casey Hayward, is a name that doesn't go mentioned as much, but he in 2017 he balled out, man. It's hard for me to not have him at 2 either. Where Jalen Ramsey is like cements at number 1, to me Casey Hayward, I can't have him not at number 2. So to me 1 and 2 are pretty much set. And where Casey Hayward, Jalen Ramsey can like man up with anyone. Casey Hayward is more of an off like zone corner guy, but he can still man up with you with anyone. He's got speed, he's got length. He's so good. Xavier Rhodes he's at 3. He's more of the physical back, press cover corner. I mean, he did get exposed a little bit in the NFC Championship game by us, but the whole defense did. And I think with Xavier Rhodes, it's someone that all year he had shown he belongs in conversation of elite corners in the league. Patrick Peterson, number 4, he's still got it. I think that even though he might not be in his prime anymore, he's starting to hit, like he's at the top of his downslide. He's still a top corner in the league. He's still got that speed. He's still got those coverage skills. Marshawn Lattimore as a rookie, people might not want to rank him that high, but for me, what I saw was the guy who's going to compete with Jalen Ramsey and, call me biased, but hopefully Sidney Jones as the top young corners in the league for the next several years. I think Marshawn Lattimore showed he's elite in his own right. And so I'm crowning him. Part of it is because I put him at 5. Part of it is because of projection too. I really think that his projection is just going to skyrocket. So I put him that high. AJ Bouye, he's someone whose numbers, like his quarterback rating against was even better than Jalen Ramsey's. Now again, Jalen Ramsey matched up against the top receivers, while Bouye was matched up against 2s and 3s, which is understandable. But Bouye still, absolutely shut them down. Like, he didn't let up a touchdown at all year until the Pittsburgh game in the AFC. AFC divisional game.
Mm-hmm.
So he's elite. I wouldn't say elite, but the next tier down, he's right at the top. Darius Slay is another guy that doesn't get mentioned for the Detroit Lions. He had a great year. Marcus Peters is he's divisive because I think a lot of people, they see his boom or bust kind of play, in a way similar to what we have in Ronald Darby. I mean, they play different styles, but in terms of feast or famine, he's someone that he's either going to get beat or he's going to make a play. And I don't think I can ever have him as in the top conversation because of that, but at the same time, you can't ignore his playmaking ability. That knack of just forcing turnovers is unbelievable. So that can't go ignored. Jimmy Smith is another one that doesn't get mentioned a lot. He had a great year for the Ravens, but because the Ravens sucked, he's not going to get mentioned. But Jimmy Smith was great. And then Desmond Trufant is a veteran. I put him at 10. He had a bounce back year after being hurt in 16. And then Norman and Sherman, two guys who for years we saw as top corners. It just worked out that they didn't even hit my top 10, and I think that just goes to show they've lost a step. They're still good corners, but they're definitely not elite anymore. And then Kyle Fuller for the Bears was the other guy at 13. I couldn't not mention him, so I have my top 13.
Before we go to Paulie, we got some good Facebook posts, so I'm going to jump right into the Facebook posts. We got David Rosca with crying faces and says, "What's up, boys? Manny freaking Rose will get her shot for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. I'm sure she will, buddy." But we appreciate Rosca, as always, coming back. Tom Arnone, he says, "Hey, Charles, you forgot your sleeves, buddy."
It's hot in the
what
studio,
it is
man.
is actually Chrome and I bought a ticket to the gun show, and here we are, front row seats.
It's hot in
And
the
then
show.
Birds of a Feather says, "Well, if it wasn't so hot in the studio, right?"
That was me.
Yeah, I know. Doug Zeke, he says he was laughing at Tom, and then he says, "Sun's out, guns out." Rob Povia says, "Slay, Ramsey are nasty, but I'm going with Jalen's teammate, the phenomenal AJ Bouye."
Who said that?
That was Rob Povia.
Povia, okay.
Doug Zeke says the Charles Moranin show. And then this one's a good one, too. Wilder says, poll question, Ramsey. Also, don't worry about your sleeves not fitting or your arms not fitting into sleeves. It's a problem. LOL. Good stuff. They love this. I'm glad they must not watch Lazy Booking then when I sit in my tank tops and I ain't got arms like he does. So
Dude, yeah, I was like, okay, Chrome's
God
wearing
damn.
tank tops. I'm gonna
I wear
start
tank tops all the time. Damn. Paulie, what's your rankings here?
So I'm going to go with a 5 because I'm not as diligent as Charles, so I have a top 5. But mine's not much different. Jalen Ramsey's got to be number 1. And I just love Jalen Ramsey. I love that he's a jerk. I think it's so. I saw a recent thing, like NFL.com. They did a survey, and it was they were asking players to make their NFL Mount Rushmores, right?
Yeah.
So like Torrey Smith
I
had
love
his. It was like Walter Payton, Jerry Rice, and all these guys had all these. Jalen Ramsey's response was, "My face with 4 different expressions."
Nice.
Like this guy, like he is like it's some Deion Sanders kind of
love
stuff, attitude wise, and he backs it up.
That's the thing. He backs it up. You
Yeah,
can't-
so
and
I
for a
love
corner,
Jalen Ramsey.
For a corner, it's why we love Jalen Mills. Is
Yeah.
because he has that attitude. Like, I don't care if I get beat, I'm still the best. Like,
Yeah, that's how you got to be if you're a corner,
if you're
man.
a corner,
Yeah.
you have to be that.
Yeah, but I definitely have. And then number 2, like we talked about, where we don't really maybe necessarily watch him or give him as much attention as maybe he deserves. But
Yeah.
he is. I'd say he's right in that conversation. I mean, you could theoretically make the argument that he's better than Ramsey. I'm not going to make it because I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
But someone wouldn't be crazy to suggest it. Someone could make the argument.
You know who would make that argument? Casey Hayward.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then Jalen Ramsey would be right back at him.
Yeah.
Xavier Rhodes, I agree. Number 3. Xavier Rhodes has taken a leap. He went from being pretty good to elite. He is one of the best shutdown corners in the entire league. I'm going to keep Patrick Peterson at 4-2 just because I think Patrick Peterson still – he really hasn't slowed down. Like, he still looks great. He still runs the same as he did when he first came into the league. He's kind of got a little bit of everything. He's got great size. He's got great speed. He can do a little bit of everything at the cornerback position. My number 5 guy, though, I'm putting Slay there. I love Darius Slay.
I do too.
Because
I hate that he's at 7 for me. I really don't like it.
And you know what it is? It again, it's a thing where it's a bias because the team he plays for. Like when you look at like the Lions as a team, like no one talks about the Lions because no one cares. The Lions are pretty irrelevant. Like you look at a quarterback like Matt Stafford. I think Matt Stafford's actually underrated. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I think he's a really good
I'm with
quarterback.
you. Well,
but he doesn't get into this. Whatever.
Girl.
He doesn't get into those conversations because he plays for the Lions, and the Lions stink.
Yeah.
Or not even stink. They're mediocre.
Yeah.
They're just a mediocre team
Yeah, they're
every
kind of a
year.
team that flounders every year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just mediocre, and they So I think Slay has that same effect where he's just not playing on that great of a team, so he doesn't get noticed.
exactly.
But he's 100% one of the best cover corners in the entire league, and he also has a little bit of that Jalen Ramsey cocky jerk thing to him that I really like. I remember it was the game in Detroit when the Eagles lost last year in Detroit, and he picked off that play to Aguilar. Wentz just threw it up.
Yeah.
And like he basically said, like, yo, I don't know why you threw that ball. I was gonna pick that off the whole damn time. Like but I love that. I love that kind of a guy. Like
Exactly.
give me that guy all every Sunday, man. It's awesome. But yeah, that's my top 5.
Michael Jenkinson says Chris Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Chris
another
Harris
one.
got to be a
name
top 10 guy.
considered.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can make an argument for,
Yep. Deion Brown says, "What's up, fellas? It's sort of tough to name the best cornerback right now because there isn't really shutdown corners anymore."
Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey.
He says there are good and above corners in the league today, but to me, no one stands out to be shut down. He says, "I'll take Ramsey, Marcus Peters, Hayward, and AJ." So
Okay.
I would tend to disagree, but
I think Lattimore is in that conversation of I think in a year or two he will be another shutdown corner. I think for a period there, we didn't have a true shutdown corner because you had guys like Richard Sherman who was the proclaimed top corner, but he played in that cover 3.
yeah,
He played in that Seattle's press bail system. And so, people are all like, well, you don't shadow corners. You're not a true shutdown corner. And so like that was a conversation where it was a lot of these top corners were scheme dependent, I guess you say, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but a lot of people would argue that like, a true shutdown corner is going to shut down the team's best receiver and they're going to hold him to no catches like Dion was. And so, we didn't see that for a period. We saw that I think the last true one before Ramsey, I think you can make an argument for was Darrelle Revis. And then once Darrelle Revis hit his wall, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But I think with the implementation of Ramsey and now Lattimore, I think those two are really, really set up to be true shutdown corners where you're really not going to throw to any side of the field.
I'd still put Patrick Peterson in that category too. I still consider him a shutdown.
Okay, yeah,
corner.
I mean, so I had Jalen Ramsey clear number 1, physical, tone setter, clearly to me number 1, head and shoulders above everybody else at this point. Now next year that could change and the gap could be closed. I had Xavier Woods at number 2.
Woods.
Xavier Woods. I totally put
It's not
Xavier
Thursday.
Woods. Jesus. Fucking Roscoe with his Mandy Rose thing. Xavier Rhodes. And it's that Mandy Rose shit, too. Damn you, Roscoe. Xavier Rhodes, I have him. I mean, the guy only gave up 2 touchdowns last year. And I did put a couple of stats down, even though we say no notes. I had to do my homework a
Nice.
little bit, guys.
I like
Chris,
it. I like it. I like it.
I mean, the
respect it.
completion percentage against him was 54.7%, which to me is a very
That's
good
an elite
percentage.
number for
Yeah.
a corner. Yeah.
I'm going to drop Peterson down from my original, just from
Oh,
some of
no.
your conversations. Not much. Darius Slay, I have at 3, 6
Okay.
INTs. He's patient. He lets plays develops. He jumps the passing lanes.
Ball hawk, yes.
Absolutely. I think
Yep.
that I'll put Patrick Peterson. I had him at 3. I'll drop him down to 4
Okay.
because his speed is still questionable at this point. but only 3 TDs against him last year.
Yeah.
Damn
he's
good
still-
number,
yeah.
and I agree with you. I still think he's a shutdown corner. I had Casey Hayward as number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Guy's always around the ball, and he's an interception machine.
Mm-hmm.
And I put Marshawn Lattimore at 6. 5 INTs, 8 passes defended.
Yep.
And the guy is he was the 2017 Defensive Rookie of the Year. I have no reason to believe that he's not going to continue to roll with that
Yep.
going forward.
Yeah. I don't.
So that's
I,
where I stuck.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with any of your rankings. As I told you guys before the show, I felt like these rankings so far were the toughest for me because it really depends on what you look for.
Well, I feel like after Jalen Ramsey, there's a close gap there.
Yeah,
Again, because I was trying to keep up with you guys on this, because especially with defensive, you guys are much more into the numbers and stuff. I just looked at it, and to me, Xavier Rhodes is kind of closer to that number 2 spot than anybody. But I think you're going to see some guys really step up at young guys, and I'm going to be interested to see where Sidney Jones falls on the rankings next year with, fingers crossed, a full season playing this year.
Yeah, definitely. YouTube. So we got
let's
a
get
few
the
here.
YouTube fam in.
Not much, but David Roscoe pretty much said the same thing on Facebook that that he did. The Mandy freaking Rose will become a SmackDown Live champion. Sixers JT says, who is the best cornerback in each division? That's a long breakdown. We'll revisit that in a second. Not as hot as it was last Tuesday, LOL. Was at Penn's Landing, and it was scorching.
Well,
Oh, yeah, that
that's
was
true.
before 4th of July. Oh, yeah, that was
last Tuesday was gross.
freaking hot last week. And then he also says, who is the most overrated cornerback in the league? I think that's something that Ryan has been asking us each week when we do our rankings. Who's the most overrated? Who's the most
Overrated. It's an interesting
underrated?
question.
It's very, very interesting. I think overrated, I would have to go Josh Norman or Richard Sherman.
I think Sherman at this point, when you look and where a lot of people rank him, they still rank him a top 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
coming off an Achilles injury.
And
Yeah.
I just think at this point in his career, coming off of that injury, I think that there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to surpass him at this point. I still think he's a phenomenal corner, and I still think he's going to do a lot in San Francisco. But
He's going to do a good job in San
I
Francisco.
can't put him in the top 10.
I have an interesting name for overrated. Malcolm Butler.
Okay.
Because there are
Okay.
Patriots fans out there who seem to think that if Malcolm Butler had played in the Super Bowl, they magically would have won.
Probably, yeah.
So from that
Fair.
standpoint, and he's a good corner, but I wouldn't consider him one of the top corners in the league.
No, I wouldn't. No.
He's good. Like he's fine.
He's
Like,
good.
He's not
good, but
great.
not Pro Bowl worthy.
No,
Right. Yeah.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe top half of the league.
He'll make a good player too, but he's not like
No, he's not. He's certainly not a shutdown guy
Right.
by
Yeah.
any stretch.
I agree. He also says Sixers JT also says Stephon Gilmore. Something
Stephon
that's-
Gilmore's an interesting one.
That's a very interesting one. I don't know. For me, from my perception of Stephon Gilmore, he's just about rightly rated.
He's in the perfect scheme
Like he's
for him
yeah.
right now.
So I don't know, but he's an interesting name. What other guys are out there? I'm trying to think.
as far as under and over.
Underrated.
I mean, are underrated or
Underrated?
overrated?
Either way, I'm just trying.
I actually, you know, a cornerback duo I like might be a little underrated is Miami's with Xavier Howard and
okay.
Kadre Tankersley.
Okay, yeah.
2 younger guys. I mean, again, I don't think either one of them are necessarily like Pro Bowl caliber players, but
No.
they're both 2 pretty damn good corners. I
decent.
mean, and you don't really hear them talked about
Oh.
that much.
Oh, Tre'Davious White.
yeah.
Tre'Davious.
White.
I do love Tre'Davious.
Underrated.
You read
Underrated.
My mind.
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
a big
thinking
Tre'Davious White guy.
Yeah.
And I have him in my dynasty league. So it's
Oh,
like
nice.
Yeah,
No, that's a good pick. That's a good.
I like.
He had
I
a
like
he had a. If it wasn't for Lattimore, he'd
Yeah.
probably get more notoriety. more-
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But he had a great rookie
Yeah,
season too.
Tre'Davious White can play.
You can't forget about him.
Let's
That's
see.
it for YouTube right
Completely forgot about Tre'Davious.
now. Yeah, it's easy to
Only
forget
kid
about
can
him.
play.
So let's get into the Eagles running or cornerback core this year. I keep saying running back because Charles with the guns out like he's
I gotta-
ready for training camp. I know we had to switch a couple mics around. So.
Yeah, you're
Switching is fun.
Yeah. But yeah. So what do you guys? How do you guys feel about the cornerback core this year going into the season? The slot situation and all that. Where do you guys see this kind of falling into play once we kind of get through OTAs and preseason and all that?
I think it's not going to matter. The slot thing, I think people are kind of over. And Charles, you and I have talked about this very often, and we had a big argument with Tom about it. But the point that we were making is the Eagles' top 3 corners are going to be Ronald Darby, Jalen Mills, and Sidney Jones in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
That lineup's going to be on the field, 80% of the time?
More than
Yeah.
likely, yeah.
So it doesn't matter who plays where. And what's going to happen is the Eagles are going to take the guy who they think is the best slot corner, and they're going to put him in the slot, and they're going to put the other guy in the out. You know what I mean?
Outside, yeah.
It's not someone being – if Sidney Jones is named the slot corner, people shouldn't freak out and be like, oh, no, he's the third best corner in the team.
I agree.
No, it's because out of those 3 guys, they think he's got the best skill set to be inside of the nickel. And that might be the case. He might be
That
the
might
best
actually
suited
be,
out
yeah.
of those 3 guys. I don't know that, but just judging off of him and what he's done in his career, he might be just the flat-out best man-to-man cover, and he might be the best. He might be the quickest of those 3 corners. So he might be the best candidate for that. And it's not a knock. It's not a knock at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that you're going to see. If I were to bet right now, you're going to see Sidney Jones in the slot. I really think it's going to be Mills and Darby on the outside. And Mills in the slot. I mean, why I keep messing this up? Mills and Darby on the outside, Sidney Jones in the slot. Because I really think that with how comfortable the other 2 also were on the outside, I think that it's kind of what you're doing is you're making it a little bit of a risk, especially going into the season, of shifting him over into the slot.
Right.
If Sidney Jones can show he's more than capable of playing there, I think that as preseason goes, he gets more reps, gets more game snaps under his belt. I think he's going to cement his spot as one of the 3. And we've been saying it, Paulie, like the 3 corners are starters. Your base quote unquote package in the NFL for your defense is now your nickel.
Yep.
All teams are now playing nickel majority of the time. That's why when we said this linebacker depth thing is being totally overblown, because you don't need 3 linebackers.
Right.
You really only need 2, because that's how many starting linebacking positions you need. So for those 3 to be the top, I think that's good. That's how it's going to be. I think
With the Eagles, though, they only really need 1 starting linebacker.
Yeah,
With how much Malcolm Jenkins
yeah,
is
he
on the
plays in
line.
this. Yeah,
But
he
yeah,
comes
anyway,
down.
sorry.
But I think that also, it wouldn't surprise me if as the season goes on, maybe around halfway point, if you start to see it kind of mold a little bit. What I want to see is
Well, I think you could see Jalen Mills get some reps in the slot. I think that Malcolm Jenkins is definitely going to step up as support. So I think they're going to try different things, and I agree. Sidney Jones is probably going to be the primary guy coming out of opening day.
Schwartz,
who
I think,
starts in that spot.
I want to see if Sidney Jones can show this ability. I want to see if Schwartz incorporates more of Sidney Jones starting to shadow number 1 wide receivers later on in the season.
Oh, sure.
If he's now up to speed where he's playing at a very high level, is he going to start matching him up and having them follow? Because if you remember in, I think, the Giants game of 2016, that's what Jalen Mills, he's shown he does it as an in-game adjustment. He had Jalen Mills shadow OBJ in that 2016 game against the Giants late in the season. He did that. So if he can do something like that in that situation, I wonder if he has a talent like Sidney Jones, if he's willing to now do that depending on matchups more and more, because I think that offers more flexibility. You get to put Malcolm Jenkins as another slot / linebacker in dime, and then Mills and Darby can do their thing on the outside.
Yeah, and like you said, it creates flexibility. So it's not as clear-cut of a matchup situation, so you can mix things up as the game goes along and progresses and try to, for all intents and purposes, screw with the offense and the offensive scheme.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Home run by Odubel Herrera, by the way, 6-1 Phillies.
Jeez.
That's baseball, Charles. Just in case you weren't sure.
Shoot.
Just in case you weren't sure, buddy. But no, I mean, I absolutely think, and it's smart to do that too, to see what you have with the kid once you're 100% confident that he's up and going.
Yeah.
And especially, I mean, you have to know what you have in Sidney Jones. You have to find that out this year, because I think we've talked about this, and I think we're all kind of in agreement that at the game plan, the best case scenario, the Eagles will probably let Ronald Darby walk.
Oh, for sure.
And have Jalen Mills and and Sidney Jones on the outside. So if you're the Eagles, you have to know that Sidney Jones is 100% and healthy and the player you thought he was in order to be confident in letting that happen. So I think this is a really big year for Sidney Jones in that sense.
Now, there's a lot of other names we're not mentioning further along the depth chart. There's obviously Rasul Douglas, who we also drafted last year, who came in and he played pretty solid at times. He flashed some really good ball skills, and he stepped up in ways that we didn't anticipate and we didn't see from early on in his career. He had some hiccups, especially against in that Chargers game, but you have him. You have Devontae Bosby, who's been making splashes in OTAs and minicamps. You also have the corner that we drafted, the rookie
Avonte Maddox.
And he's probably not in the plans for this season.
I don't think
but
so. Yeah.
looking next year on, so
Devontae Bosby's another name that's out there.
Oh, that's what I just
possibly
said.
For
Yeah,
slot reps.
that's what I just said.
He said
yeah.
Bosby.
I said Bosby.
Oh, sorry. I was reading. Somebody sent me a story. I was reading it. My bad.
Gotcha. But it's a very crowded group. So, I think we can all agree those three names are going to be the guys for this season. But how do you see it playing off beyond this season? I know it's looking for it's really really projecting far ahead, and you don't want to look too far ahead. But it's really interesting because, like what you said with Darby, it's very interesting because he's in that contract year. Logically, you would let him walk so you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay him.
Mm-hmm.
But what if he has a great season?
You might not have a choice. You're up against it.
And you have to see what these other kids have. Again,
Mm-hmm.
I constantly bring him up, but if Bosby looks as good in the slot as they feel like he's looked, that could create the flexibility where you move Sidney Jones back to the outside, and a guy like Bosby could step into that slot. Maybe not as a third, but as a fourth guy. So it's going to depend how these young kids develop going forward.
Yeah, and I think Maddox, if they – you can't expect, like we talked, you can't expect Maddox to play this year.
Right.
Yeah.
But what you can expect is if he does, they're going to see him every day. If he starts picking up the scheme, if he starts understanding the technique they're teaching him, if he starts becoming a more fundamentally sound corner, that might give them the confidence again to be like, okay, well, we feel pretty good that Avonte is going to be able to step in and play next year as our slot corner, so we can afford to lose Ronald Darby and move Sidney to the outside or move Jalen to the outside.
Mm.
I mean, they're pretty deep at the position, so I have to imagine one or two of to these guys is going to step up and create.
It's nice to have for a change.
all sense and purposes, create a situation where he's expendable.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to have it's kind of like the Ajayi thing. We're going to see how that season goes, or the season progresses this year.
I was about to say,
he's probably going to walk.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Corey Clement. Let's see what he's going to do this year. Can he step up into the forefront? Or are they going to have to go out and make another move? Because you're losing Sproles next year as well.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of opportunity there.
Josh Adams goes on IR. I still think that's what's going to happen there.
Probably.
That's what I keep hearing that he might not.
He's
even
been having, and
roster,
he has a legit foot issue. Like he's probably not going to practice at all.
Yeah.
Like, and he probably has like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge thing with the Eagles where like they're like, hey, go take care of your foot. If you take care of your foot, we'll put you on IR and we'll give you a shot next year.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be fine with that. He gets an NFL paycheck, so what does he care?
Yeah.
If he's not going to be healthy enough to play and make an impact that he thinks he can make, go on IR.
Yeah. Who's the free agent one we just signed?
Matt Jones.
Matt Jones. Yeah. It's pretty much.
I think it's going to be those four.
Fourth.
Yeah.
He's going to be our fourth.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Former third-round pick, Matt Jones.
Who?
Yeah. Matt Jones. Who? Matt Jones. I got you, Vespi. I got you on that.
Your boy Pumphrey would have to have one hell of a preseason.
I don't even think that's going to save him at this point, my boy Pumphrey.
Your boy.
You love yourself some Donnell Pumphrey.
I don't love him. I
mean,
love him.
It'd be interesting to see what's going to happen with Smallwood as well. And
yeah, he's gone.
I imagine really he is, but for some reason they still seem to have.
No, because listen, when he's shown flashes.
Yeah.
He's not a bad running back. His problem is he can't pass protect to save his life.
Right.
And he's got no patience. If the hole is there, he hits it hard, he hits it fast, and he'll get.
But if it's not there,
if the hole's not there, not obvious, it's not.
Yeah,
his vision's very. He's not very strong.
No, with this offense with Carson Wentz,
if
you need to be able to block.
Yeah, if you put Corey Clement's vision on Wendell Smallwood, you'd have like an elite back. Seriously.
Yeah, it was funny because I remember I was watching I was watching what was Monday Night Football, the game against the Redskins, and this is John Gruden. I get it, but he had said he had mentioned something. He thrown something like Smallwood. He's their number one running back in pass protection, and I remember when I was watching that game last year, I laughed. But I had totally forgotten about that quote, as the season went on.
That guy's the head
And then
coach
I
of the
rewatched
Oakland Raiders
the Oakland
now.
Raiders, and I watched it on NFL Network again on a replay, and I heard it again, and I started dying because I completely remembered he said that, and I was like, "Wow, talk about
that guy
far-fetched."
is now an NFL coach.
Yeah, he is an NFL coach.
And he brought in Doug Martin with Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, that's
And he got rid of Michael Crabtree and signed Jordy
Jordy
Nelson.
Nelson.
A couple of the fringe
Oof.
guys at the cornerback spot, DJ Killings and Shandon Sullivan too.
Okay.
Fringe guys. Ballsby's
Yeah, they're not-
probably in the lead to take that last spot.
I would say
but-
Ballsby's probably the last. Like, it's going to be the top. It's going to be those top 4 guys we talked about: Sidney Jones, Jalen Mills, Ronald Darby, Russell Douglas. Then you got to keep Maddox because he was a 4th-round
Yeah.
pick. And then I
Ballsby.
think Ballsby. If they keep 6 corners, Ballsby's the 6th.
Yeah, he's the 6th. And then Trey Sullivan will be. I mean, we're getting into safeties, but
Trey Sullivan
will most
or
likely
my
be
boy Jeremy Reeves.
Jeremy Reeves.
I
And
actually have a bet with Zangaro about
about.
Jeremy Reeves. We make a bet on. I make a bet with him on an undrafted player every year.
Oh, gotcha.
And this year it's Jeremy Reeves.
There are
So
people-
come
there are-
on, Jeremy.
There are people also saying that they're placing bets on us signing your other boy Corey Graham at some point.
Yeah, that sounds. I think they're probably going to do it at some point.
Yeah. It's logical.
They cleared that cap space with getting rid of Kendrick, so now they do have a little bit of room.
What'd you guys think of Brandon Boykin retiring? Well, essentially retiring.
Did you
He
really?
actually
I didn't
he
know- I
came
missed
out and
that.
said that he didn't.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
he
there's
had
been
he
word
had a
that
hip
may or
he
may
had a
not be
hip
done.
hip issue.
It was like
Yeah.
a chronic hip
Yeah,
issue, wasn't
like
it?
like a degenerative.
Yeah.
hip
That's
issue,
why-
they said.
that's why there
Yes,
was,
he's- yeah.
So he's
We
kind of
traded
hanging
him.
on.
Poor
Sounds like he's
guy.
probably kind of hanging on to hope then that he has a chance. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sucks.
He was
was
playing in
decent
like
for
the
us.
flag football league or whatever, right, or something.
Oh, was he really? He was in that flag
Yeah.
football thing? That's awesome. I
But-
like Boykin. When he was with us,
He had that one
he
year. He
was-
was sensational.
awesome. He had like 6 picks.
Yeah, when he was healthy, he was one of the best slot corners in the league. He just
Yeah,
couldn't
and
stay healthy.
I thought he was
had those issues. It sucks.
It was when we had who was Corey Williams? Was that the guy?
Kerry Williams.
Kerry Williams.
Oh man, he was bad.
And then the other guy,
and Bradley Fletcher.
Bradley Fletcher.
Oh
Ooh,
God,
yeah,
dark
oh my
days.
God.
Dark
But at
days.
least we had
Yeah.
Boykin. Boykin was a good cover corner in the slot. He made plays. He's a
God,
playmaker.
think about that, dude. We went from. Oh God,
You had
there's
Carrie,
so many.
Carrie Williams.
Well, before that, you had Asamoah
Awesome.
yeah, Nandre Asamoah,
and
Maxwell.
DRC was here too.
yeah, DRC Asamoah and a fading Asante Samuel.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you go
Samuel
on to.
was good when he first got
Oh,
here,
well, he was
though.
great when he
Oh, he
first
was
got
phenomenal.
here. But then he started to fade, and it wasn't pretty when he
Yeah.
faded. And then on the other, and then
Byron Maxwell.
Byron
At
Maxwell.
one point,
We had
God.
him and Carrie Williams
Oh,
at the
yes, we did.
At that one point, they were like our
Dude,
top
I-
cornerback acquisitions.
I got one name that we wish to
Uh.
forget. Patrick Chung.
Oh,
Oh.
man.
You're talking about
And
safety.
he was so
man.
good when he was with the Patriots. It's so.
He's only good
Uh,
with the Patriots.
Yeah, it's true. He's a scheme
Because
guy.
he had a good year again this year.
But it is crazy to kind of see, in retrospect, where we've been over the last,
It's insane.
say, 5 to 6 years to now. The depth that we have is awesome. Other story, Eagles story this week. What'd you guys think of the Giants and Deuce Staley? Are you surprised that you saw that he interviewed with them?
I
No,
actually
didn't
didn't
see- I didn't
see
see that.
Yeah. that was-
Interviewed as far for their head coaching job.
No.
For
For
their
a
offensive
coordinator job.
When
That was
for-
reported by Marcus
We
Hayes.
talked.
Oh, it's
well,
Marcus
That
Hayes.
probably didn't happen then.
I don't know.
But no,
Yeah.
I mean,
He
we
was
talked about it.
from
We
what
all
I
thought,
read, it was in consideration, but obviously Mike Shula ended up getting the position.
we all thought
but-
Deuce had a decent shot to become the offensive coordinator here.
Sure.
I still think one day he's going to be a head coach.
Oh, for sure. I absolutely think he's gonna be a
Yeah,
head
I
coach.
just think he's got that mentality. I think one day he's going to be a head coach. You see what he's done. I will. His crowning achievement is turning Corey Clement from a power back in college that didn't even know what pass protection was into a third down back who had 100 receiving yards in the Super Bowl. That's Deuce Staley.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it's Corey for putting in the hard work and studying and doing all that. But man, Deuce he was his project and he made it work. Like, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
I've been a Deuce believer for a while. I think he's a great coach. I think he's been groomed by the organization for a while. So I mean, I don't want to see him go to a division rival, but I think
wouldn't have been upset because he deserves to get a shot.
he'll go somewhere. I just
Yeah.
hope it's not the Cowboys. I
Oof.
prefer not to be the Giants. Anywhere else would be nice. I really wouldn't even mind if it was the Redskins because I really don't mind the Redskins that
Yeah,
much.
they don't really bother me
Yeah.
that much.
Kingery just really
Speaking of the
misplayed this
Cowboys,
ball at
where's
third base.
where's
Good
Dez
Lord.
gonna sign, boys? Still sitting
Dez.
out there.
Where?
Definitely
I
not
don't
gonna be
know.
Green Bay.
Dude, it's like, you know what it is? And I'm gonna go into NBA. Des Bryant, Carmelo Anthony.
It is.
My God, what
That's
a
the
parallel
same
That is
that
a
thing.
great
is.
parallel, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yep.
guys.
Two guys who were great, who were both dickheads, and who no one has enough money to sign and doesn't want to take the risk on.
And who both really declined very quickly.
Yes. Although I think Carmelo finds a home before Dez does, sadly.
Another Carmelo parallel though. Another Jay Cutler you could see as another Carmelo parallel.
You know what,
He
though?
was past his prime. I mean, not at this point,
But
but I mean,
Carmelo, and I've never been a big Carmelo guy. I'll be the first to admit that. He was an elite basketball player for a long time.
Yeah.
he was.
I would never have considered Jay Cutler an elite football
Okay.
player.
He had elite talent.
He had
but
elite
never
talent,
worked
but I
on
would
it.
have never
He
considered
never
him
worked
an
at
elite
it, yeah.
football player.
Yep.
Like, Carmelo Anthony's like a 10-time All-Star. Like, this guy, he won a scoring title. Like, this guy could play.
Oh yeah.
You know, I never.
He's a legitimate Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I don't love his attitude. I don't love the way he's acted in his career. But that doesn't mean he's not a great. He was a great player. He's not a great player anymore, but he was a great player.
He was.
Dude, he's 34 years old now,
Yeah. Which
and
we
he's
are.
declined. It's funny because like all these guys who were drafted with LeBron are like retired. Like his own coach is a retired player now. But like all these dudes are like declining, and he's in like the peak of his career somehow. It's unbelievable.
His coach, they were drafted the same
Yeah.
year, weren't they?
Yep.
31-1,
Something like that.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Wow.
which we're definitely going to talk
Yeah.
more basketball in
Old.
the second
Yep.
half. We're going to get into Sixers stuff because it's been a while since we've been on,
And
boys.
to think with the top 5 picks in that draft, he doesn't have an NBA title. But yet Darko Milicic
I know.
has an NBA title.
That's
He
so
sure
funny.
does.
It's almost
It's
offensive.
the business.
I
It's,
know.
It's almost offensive that's
you
know
can
what,
always
though?
forget about that.
Melo, I mean, a lot of that goes on Melo himself. He's a selfish player.
Yep.
That's he's a great player. He
Well-
was a great player. But he's a selfish player.
Well, it also goes down.
It's-
It
it's-
comes down to, and if you talk to any Knicks fan, they'll tell you that it's poor ownership and spending.
Well,
with the
yeah.
Knicks,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
who signed him to a deal that gave them no flexibility to put anything decent around him, unless it was a fading star or J.R. Smith.
I mean, there was the one time you were trying to get Amari Stoudemire, but then one bad hand injury later, he's
Oh, he's
dropped off the face of the earth.
yeah.
Yeah.
Amari, who's trying to come back and play again.
Is
I
he
saw
really?
that. Yeah, but he's got he's had to get like a spinal fusion or something, or I don't
Well,
know.
he-
Well,
So
that's
he played overseas.
Or no, a microfracture injury. Yeah, he played
He
overseas and
has
won a championship.
part ownership for a team. And he played overseas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now he's trying to leave his options open to return to the NBA.
Oh, okay.
So he's not fully committed to that team.
Gotcha.
But I don't know. What other Eagles news
It's
do we
weird.
have, guys?
It's weird stuff.
Yeah. What else happened today?
Carson Wentz hooked that ball 60
Yeah, we're not
yards.
talking about that shit.
I'm kidding. Oh yeah, the Carson Wentz thing, where he chucked it to
Chucked
the
it
kid.
to that kid 60 yards down the field effortlessly.
Yeah. Air yards. Hashtag. Hashtag air yards.
Yeah.
So
I
what
see.
what concerns now? We're getting closer to the to the preseason kind of kicking off. Do you guys have any concerns on the roster, offense, defense, coaching, anything that you're kind of looking at now to where you're hoping in the preseason to, I guess, get a more clear view of it? Not that it's a concern. We talked cornerbacks and how that's going to happen. And obviously Carson's going to be a big thing.
Yeah.
We want to see how the quarterback situation is going to play out. But is there anything else that you guys are looking at right now where you're like, I want to see how this plays out, or if this guy's going to emerge or anything along those lines?
A little concerned. The tight end position. I love Dallas Goedert. I love the pick. I would have made it 20 times over. But he's replacing Brent Selleck, who A, the leadership, and B, the blocking. Brent Selleck was essentially almost like an extra tackle who could sometimes catch the football.
The blocking concerns me.
So that's a pretty big loss. Losing Trey Burton, again, like Trey Burton, Trey Burton's a nice player. He's not great. He's probably getting a little overpaid. But he was a part of this offense, and he was he had a role. Obviously played a part, arguably the biggest play in Eagles history.
Without
But
question.
in
that
general,
Eagles
yeah. But in
history,
general, he had he was a third tight end. He had a decent role. He knew the offense inside out. So I mean, I guess you're going to go run with Richard Rodgers now as your third tight end. I mean, he's fine. He's okay. But I guess I just want to see how that all plays out. I mean, Ertz is Ertz. Ertz is great. I worry, he does have an injury history though too. So if he gets hurt, I am always concerned about, look, then Goddard all of a sudden has to be the number one tight end. It's it can be a little
do
murky.
you keep Brent on speed dial?
I think Brett
That's a
might
good
be,
question.
I think Brett might be done.
Oh,
He might
I
be,
don't know.
but
He's
I don't know.
toast.
I think they may keep him on speed dial just in case, kind of
Yeah.
like the Chargers with Antonio Gates at this point.
yeah. I
Well, I
actually.
think-
That's
got a
an
point.
interesting.
I'm
name.
actually. Why haven't
Let's
they
just
called
say-
Antonio Gates up yet? Because Hunter Henry being hurt for the year.
Yeah, I think another concern, and it's. I don't want to say concern. Concern seems like too great of a word, but you got to see how the effect of DiFilippo and Frank Reich leaving. How does that-
That's a good one.
That's
how
a good
does
one,
how
yeah.
does that affect the locker room? I mean, it's Doug Peterson's offense, and we like Frank Reich, but it is Doug P's offense. So I still think Doug will have a handle on it. The system's still going to be good, but with him leaving, the familiarity's gone, and he was another person that Doug could lean on. So with him being on, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But DiFilippo, he pretty much, his job was to develop Wentz. He did that. Wentz was the runaway MVP before he got hurt. So I mean, Wentz is already getting to that level. But with DiFilippo not there anymore, will there be a little bit of a, I don't want to say plateau, but you get what I'm saying? Like, when
Yeah,
the incline
no.
was like this, is there going to be a little bit of a rough, patch in the development with the DiFilippo gone? Is the quarterback room not going to be the same? So it's just, question marks where you want to see, because you're losing two big coaching staff guys. And oftentimes for defending Super Bowl champions, when they lose, not front office guys, but when they lose staff like that, two guys right off the bat for the next season, there is some kind of impact. So it'll be interesting to see what
You have
happens.
two guys who have never or coaching in a new position at the NFL level, and you have a brand new coach. Because you have Groh now as the offensive coordinator, you have
Yeah.
Press Taylor now as the quarterback coach, and you have Gunnar. I can't even remember his name.
I
Gunnar
forget his
Brewer, I think his name is the new wide receiver coach
name.
from college. He was
He
Matt
was
Collins.
Mike
at-
Collins' coach,
yeah,
yeah.
North Carolina. So I mean, that's a really good point by you. I mean, it's three new coaches. That's a lot of change in one offseason.
Yeah.
I mean, we all kind of saw it coming. It's funny because for years we all talked about Jim Schwartz jumping ship, and he's the one that's still here, and Frank Reich and DiFilippo
Yeah.
are the ones who were gone.
Yeah.
I apologize for the few Facebook comments I missed. My Facebook's being weird. It wasn't updating. I had to shut it down. and
Oh, wasn't
restart
it? Okay.
But Tom Arnone chimed in earlier. He said, it's Jalen Ramsey. It's not even close. Dion's had a few comments in here. Dion said, hopefully one day soon we'll be talking about Sidney Jones as a top-rated shutdown cornerback. Only
hope
time
so.
will tell. He says, with Sproles back, 100%, I could see the Eagles tucking Josh Adams away for the season. That makes a lot more sense. Greg Milakovic chimes in, suns out, guns out, Jalen Ramsey for me. So we knew the comment was coming, so we'll just real quick. Dion says, guys, I'm sure you will speak a bit on it. Be honest, Dion, we're not going to talk about it until there's any kind of actual factual story about it. But he says this Shady McCoy thing, I hope that I hope that wasn't true. If it is, his career's done. Shake my head. But I'm sure that will be touched on at some point in the show. We're not really going to talk about it, Dion, just because we know the story, the accusation that's out there. Obviously, clearly, his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or whatever she is, not her, but her friend made an Instagram post insinuating child abuse, animal abuse, and abuse on her.
Steroids.
Substance abuse.
Substance abuse with steroids. A lot of things, a lot of accusations in one Instagram post. As far as facts, that's all we know is that there was a Instagram story or accusation posted. So in terms of that, God bless you. Yes, if it's true, it would be very detrimental to him. If it's not true, it's unfortunate for him that happens. but we're not going to really speak on it because there's no facts. We don't want to take a side. We weren't going to take a jersey down. There's nothing out there that we don't know. So we're going to move on from that, and we'll just say, for anybody's sake, whether you love the guy or hate him, you don't want to hear any kind of a story like that to be true.
Yep.
That's the stance we're taking today, Dean. So, moving forward, thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you. That being said, great point with the coaching concerns. I agree with you. I think the offense would be less affected. And I think DiFilippo did enough of the job that he had to do with Carson at this point. But that is absolutely a valid concern. But you have the core of your coaching staff still in place. When you talk about guys like Schwartz on the defense, you still have your head guy on offense, and the guy who really, like we talked about with Corey Clement and really the running back core, and really maximized everything that we had last year with working with these guys, is Deuce. He's still there in I guess an enhanced role. So
Yep, assistant to the head coach.
I do have just a little bit of concern with the linebacking core, but I don't really see it as a major issue as like other people do. To me, the concern is Jordan Hicks going to be able to stay healthy?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And that's
the
because
concern.
to me, I hear you, and that's because to me that's a compliment to Jordan Hicks.
Yes.
So I think Jordan Hicks is a really good football
I think
player.
he's an
He
elite.
is very-
Exactly.
I think he's an
So-
elite linebacker if he's healthy.
So that's
Easily.
it's not the depth that I'm concerned about. It's just that I guess it is the depth, but you
Right.
know what I mean. Like the bigger concern is that he's a really good player, and I don't want to lose him.
Correct.
But I don't mind the player. I think they have good players behind him.
Yes.
I'm gonna Nate Gary. I'm gonna scream that from the damn mountaintops. Nate Gary's a player,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
gonna have a role this year. I'm not sure how much or what it is, but he's gonna have
He'll
a
be
role.
on the team.
No, I agree. And I mean, if we're talking just like week one, there is a lot of question marks
Sure,
because
Bradham.
we're not going to have Bradham week one.
Mm.
We got to see what we're going to have with Carson. So
I gotta imagine that if God forbid something were to happen to Jordan Hicks before week one, that Howie will be on the phones for a veteran linebacker of some kind. Because then you're not going to roll into the season with
No.
Joe Walker, Nathan Gary, and
Yeah.
Kamu Grugier-Hill and
Good point.
Corey Nelson. You're not.
Good point.
So, but that to me, that's only if Hicks is healthy going into week one. No, then I'm not. I'm fine with that. Because then, like, yeah, Nathan Gary's going to play like I don't even like maybe 40% of the snaps, and you know what I mean. Like, it's fine. Corey Nelson will play like 75%. Like, it's fine. Like, it's just not. I don't want to say linebacker's not an important position, but it's just not what it used to be. It's not the same position it used to be.
And I mean, again, you can look
Especially the way the Eagles play.
at it. You can look
Exactly,
at it
yeah.
as a concern or a curiosity. I'm going to be interested with how it started and then the kind of how it ended last year. If Big V can continue the momentum that he had, obviously it was a struggle kind of out of the gate, but I felt like he found his footing. And obviously, if something was to happen to Jason Peters, you want to feel confident again that he's going to be able to step in, because I think that's a little more of a concern, him stepping back in again than you would have, say, with a Carson or something along those
I
lines.
will never doubt Mr. Vitae again.
I like Big V, but I'm looking at things like that with some of these guys who maybe stumbled at points last season, but showed a lot of progression through the year. He's a guy, or guys who are hurt. Like, what are we going to get out of Sproles this year? He's obviously not going to be the focal point that he had before.
Yeah, and I'm expecting Sproles to be Sproles.
Me too, because
Yeah.
we all know Darren Sproles. He is a guy who has a lot of pride, but he's not an ego. And I don't see this guy coming back, A, if he felt like he couldn't contribute, and B, that he couldn't give 100% on the field.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't
So-
think he would come back unless he knew he'd be capable of making an impact. I don't think we're going to lean on him like we were, like it has been the past few years, where like he was our most dangerous weapon, and we had to lean on him. But I don't think it's going to be like that. I think you're going to see him sporadically, a few touches a game.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see they're pretty much in essence going to save him for the playoffs. I think when the playoffs come, I think you're going to see.
Yeah.
Not like a full workload, obviously, but you're going to see them really get creative with him, try some new things to just maximize his his impact.
Yeah.
They want to save him for the playoffs because that's when they're going to probably need his playmaking abilities most. I think another concern that I have is now the defensive line depth with all the injuries, with people leaving,
Yeah.
because we know that the Timmy Jernigan thing I think hurt a lot.
Yeah,
of the
I
depth.
agree with
Yeah.
that.
With him pretty much not. I think we're all prepared to say that, if he doesn't play this season, he might not play this season, or maybe even like till later on, like late in the season. We might not have him for majority of the regular season, with that injury. So
It's impossible for us
it's
to know.
to know.
My thing with that, though, in that scenario, if we don't get him until the second half of the season, say, I feel like because the back end of our schedule is so competitive it's so backloaded with divisional games, there's less concern for me that he would miss the first half than to get hurt in the first half and miss him the second half.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not only that,
Yeah.
it's nice to have a fresh.
fresh
Player.
for the thing.
Absolutely.
You'll have him fresh. He'll be, he won't be all beat up, and that'll help the other guys out who have been getting beat up.
Just
That'll help your
hopefully-
Fletcher Cox and your
hopefully he
Haloti and
You
I
just
think
ho-
the
hope
addition
that
of
he can
Bennett's.
come back.
Yeah, I think the addition of Bennett's going to help a little bit too, because you're going to.
Yeah.
The part of the reason why they like Bennett so much is that he's versatile and he can slide inside, and like they really like that idea. So it's it's a concern. I think it's definitely fair to say it's a concern with Jernigan's injury, but I also
you've
think they'll be okay. I think
You've
they'll
had
get
people
by.
banged up too, because Graham is hurt too. He got that
Yeah, but he'll
injury.
be all right.
He'll be all right. But
Yeah,
what
he'll
I'm
be
saying is
fine.
like now there are kind of like a few injuries that were piling up a little bit. So is that going to affect the team going into training camp? Is that going to affect them? I think what I'm saying is that going to affect our start of the season? Like, would it surprise you at all if we're a little slow in the beginning month, whereas maybe we lose 2 games, and then like we're trying to get our footing back
If
because
they
of guys
lose
who-
to Ryan Fitzpatrick in Week 2 in Tampa,
no, we're not losing that one. That's not one of the ones.
No,
where
but like,
this-
so I look at Atlanta. Do I think that we should win that game? Yes, but is that a game I could see us losing?
yes,
Sure.
we could lose that
So,
game. Yes.
I'm not going to come out of week 1 and be like, oh, here we go.
Mhm.
Like,
Atlanta's a good football team.
yeah,
man.
there's not a lot
They're
of.
a very good football team. Yeah.
They got better too this offseason, I, would
if,
say.
if their offensive coordinator can get out of his own way, but
I
But yeah.
love them getting Calvin Ridley.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a big move for
that
them.
is a
Great
good move.
pickup.
Good move. Good move.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm looking at more things of if I'm looking at the schedule. I'm more worried about the second half of the season. So,
Fair.
like I said, if Jernigan's gonna help us in the second half, where I think we're really gonna need him in the trenches for those divisional games, I'll take it.
Well, that's where the beginning of the season is important. I think that we have to win as much as we can in the beginning of the season.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and I
'Cause
think
it's
that
gonna be a dogfight the whole second half.
and that's just where my concern herein lies, is because if you have these players that are coming in banged up, it might have, because players, if you talk to players, they don't get their footing, and this is league wide. This is not just with the Eagles. This is league wide. They don't get their real footing, they've said, until maybe like week 3 or 4.
Right.
So once you hit the tail end of September, you're going into October. That's when they're like, all right, my body's warm. I'm good. I'm getting into the habit of things. So when our defensive line we pride ourselves in the depth. So if we're already kind of short on bodies in the beginning of the season, and we can't get the same type of pass rush, because we have to move Bennett to the inside, but now you lose the rotation on the outside. What if Graham is still banged up a little bit? He's not playing up to where his level of play.
Right.
And then Chris Long, you can only play him a little bit. You switch him off with Barnett. What if Barnett still doesn't develop into like a great pass rusher that we expect him? There's just question marks where it's like it wouldn't surprise me if we get off to a slow start and it takes us a
Sure.
little while to get into the swing of things and really hit our stride. And then we hit our stride probably like mid-October, but then are we going to is the beginning part of the schedule going to hurt us too much where it kind of bites us later in the season when we do
I
need it?
hate the fact that it is that backloaded with those divisional games because, I mean, obviously with the way this team works and the rotations, they try to keep guys fresh, but they're going to be, those are going to be battles
Yeah.
all through the second half of the season. And then essentially, obviously I expect that they should win the division, but you're going to be fighting to make sure you get that first round bye. so that you can have a break for it. Because that second half, they're just going to be battling week in and week out, week out, without break. So I get concerned that guys could start getting hurt then.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not going to be much time for relief to get ready for that the playoff battles.
Yeah.
So that, in a general concern for me, is I have a scheduling concern. I don't like that it's so backloaded. I liked that it was backloaded because it gave us time. If Carson was going to miss time, that would be, to me, then the best case scenario to get him back and get him going for that. But looking at it now, if it's as it looks and Carson's going to be ready and to go at 100% by week 1, now the schedule more concerns me.
My dude is out there paddleboarding. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
He'll be on week 1.
But that now the way the schedule's set, it more concerns me because I think we could very easily lose games that we should win in that second half. So
I have the schedule up. Let's just take a quick glance before break.
I think we
So
had
you
like
have-
what 6 or 6
we have-
divisional games in
So
the second
week
half.
8, if you start, I'm going to go to week 8. Week 8 is the London game against the Jags.
That's
So
really
And
that's
that's
gonna be
another
very
thing
tough.
at that point.
Really
in the
tough
Very
season.
game.
tough. That's right before the bye. So after that London game, we have a bye week. We get to rest, and then we're home against Dallas. Again, divisional games are always
That's
going to be
week
close.
10,
That's
right?
week 10.
So week 10
And then
for
we're
Dallas.
at New Orleans, and then home against the Giants,
the Giants.
home against the Redskins, at Dallas, at LA,
I'll be at that
Oh,
game.
man,
I'm
yeah.
gonna be
at
at that
LA,
game.
and then now we're into week 16, home against the Texans if they have Deshaun Watson,
So who the
and
hell
then
made this
at
schedule?
at the Redskins. Well, keep in
tough
mind,
schedule.
outside of the division, we had to play the first place division winners.
Right, because
So
it
it is going to look loaded. Again, we don't know how good these teams are going to be.
It's true. Everything changes every year.
Everything
Yeah.
does change, but at the same time, if you're just looking at the rosters of these teams, these aren't cakewalks.
No, not at
These
all.
really, so to your point, yeah, we need all the help we get later in the season.
No, and even with teams like the Giants, who there's questions on the offensive
they
line,
always play us close.
it's always a tight
Always
game.
a close game. It doesn't matter.
Even
Division
with the
games.
Redskins,
Division
the
games.
Redskins always seem to at least once a year play us
I
tough and
yeah.
squeeze out
I
wins.
still think the Redskins aren't going to be that bad of a team.
No,
I
I
don't
don't
think they're gonna
either.
be bad.
I don't
I
either.
really don't. I think they're going to be.
I think they're going to
decent
be a
team.
middle of the road team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think 88, 9, and 7. I could see them definitely
They'll-
being that.
They'll be a tough win,
Yeah,
Yes,
not a
yes.
cakewalk.
you know.
Yes.
And
I
Alex Smith will not lose the game for them.
don't- now read the whole first half of the schedule.
The whole
before
first half of the
week 8.
schedule. So, home against the Falcons,
Tough, but
at Tampa, so that's a
Win.
win.
Should be.
Home against the Colts, which I think is a win.
should be a win. Yeah.
At Tennessee, that's going to be tough.
It's a tough
Tough.
game.
Yeah, and then home against the Vikings,
Tough.
at New York, home against the Panthers, and then so that's week
not
7.
Not an easy game.
Yeah.
It's a tough schedule, man.
Maybe it's me, but this seems like it might be one of the toughest schedules for a defending
This is
Super Bowl
This-
champion.
Well, that's the
that
way
I
it
have
goes.
ever
That's
heard.
how it goes.
No,
That's how
I
it
understand that, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
That's tough, though, man.
It's tough.
even the way it's
Tough
constructed,
schedule.
that's tough.
Ugh.
And the London game is really the wrench in
Yeah.
there too.
Yeah, right in the middle of the
We're in
season.
the middle of the season, and I think like
I really hope they're on a roll.
Jacksonville-
going to that game.
Jacksonville is used to that game too.
Yep.
They
They
go
know how to
every
do
year.
it. Yep.
They know how to do it. They know what to expect. So that's going to be honestly like I would not expect to win in that game. It's
No.
very very tough.
Also, I am
Very tough.
I am very excited for to go to LA though.
Yeah, I know you are. Yeah.
Flying out
That's
for
what we-
that. I'm going. To
I think we
Disney.
win that. I think we do win that. But
Going
it's
to
near and
Disneyland
near
for the
there.
first time the day before. It's gonna be a hell of a
Nice.
trip.
Yeah.
But all right, we're gonna wrap up the first half here, guys. Second half, we'll continue to talk Eagles football if you'd like to. We're gonna also talk Sixers off season. So I know we're excited to talk about that. Lots happened since the last time we were on the air. So again, first half of the show brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours. GibsonMayer.com. Scanzano Sports on the poll question. Second half exclusively on YouTube, guys. So make the jump. Go over to YouTube. You can go on YouTube, search A2D Radio. You'll find us. Like, subscribe. Lots of good stuff. Thank you to the Facebook fam. Thank you for Periscope. If you guys joined us, please make the jump. It's going to be a great second half of the show. Until then, we're taking a break.
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Welcome back to Birds of a Feather, live from the Real Talk Studios on A2DRadio.com. Second half of the show brought to you by StreamSmart.com. Our Scanzano Sports Poll question. Coming into the 2018 season, who is the top cornerback in the NFL right now? Jalen Ramsey, Casey Hayward, Xavier Rhodes, Darius Slay. Talked about a bunch of other names as well. During our break, the gentlemen over here are freaking out over the Madden rankings.
It's not even worth. It's
Pretty ridiculous. I'm not a
Yeah,
Madden guy. I
it's
don't
not
play it
even
anymore. I think
worth
it's really
talking about.
complicated for me to sit and learn it. And I'm actually a guy who's pretty good with technology and learns things, but it's just too much for me. I'd rather play NBA.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
I'd rather play NCAA football 14.
Oh, wait a
Yeah.
minute.
Agreed.
I'd rather
Agreed.
play ESPN
Yeah.
NFL 2K5.
Oh, dude, that game.
Greatest football game
That's
ever.
a goat.
Oh, boy.
That's a goat game.
Yeah, so welcome back. If you made the jump from Facebook and Periscope over to YouTube, we appreciate it. If you stuck with us, fam, on YouTube, appreciate that as well. Second half, we'll continue to talk Eagles football if you like to. We're going to get into Sixers off-season and really NBA off-season in general. We'll talk about a couple
Yeah.
of big moves that have happened. So the big news, clearly, and it's been a while since we've been on the air because we were not on for the holiday last week, is obviously LeBron signed in LA. It's crazy with the LeBron thing that there's still like today I heard something that like Philly was a serious option because you heard it they were.
They weren't.
then
I
you
heard it was
they
denied.
weren't.
I heard they denied it, but
They
whatever.
weren't.
But this was like something new today that they really were a serious consideration. Hey, that could be LeBron just trying to give the rub to the Sixers going forward.
Here's
and
what
saying, yeah, of course I really consider it.
So yeah, Christian McCaffrey ahead of Ajayi, dude. I
Yeah,
know. And Deion
right.
Lewis
Yeah,
for that matter.
right.
And with all due
Thank-
respect to Deion
Gee,
Lewis.
yeah,
Are we still
right.
talking Madden?
Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm looking up.
yeah,
I'm looking
it's
up the
bad.
running back
No, it's
ratings,
bad.
and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
It's
that's
bad.
offensive. That's offensive.
Um,
But go ahead. Sorry.
But no, it's all good. I can't remember where I was going with that. Oh, I don't think they were. I don't think anyone was a serious consideration for LeBron other than LA. And it's funny because people want to blame things. And like I saw some like windbags giving their hot takes, like, "Oh yeah, he doesn't want to come here because the Sixers' best player is hurt and the other one can't shoot." It's like, dude, no, that's not why. He's in LA because of geography. You can't change geography.
Yeah.
Unless Brett Brown could literally move Earth, he wasn't coming here.
Yep.
Like it wasn't happening.
That would be
And
awesome,
that's-
though, if
yeah,
you
it
could
would
actually
be.
move the Earth.
If he was doing that, he'd probably be doing
Yeah.
a lot more other things than coaching basketball.
Or make the
But no,
Earth
but
flat.
no, but like it just they never had a chance, and that's fine. They did it as a courtesy. Like they let. Oh my God! I'm sorry. I just saw Tavon Austin as a running back is ranked
80.
rated higher than
80.
Corey Clement.
Yeah, Tavon Austin
Please
is
pull the
80.
rankings. Pull the
Stop
rankings
it.
down
80.
off the screen.
I'm
Stop it!
I didn't want to
Stop
like interrupt,
it.
but like I'm going
no,
down these
I
rankings,
happen to see that.
and it's pretty
That's
bad.
Horrendous.
It's pretty bad. So Tavon Austin, who's transitioning officially to running back from wide receiver, they gave him an 80 overall.
Unreal.
80 overall. I don't know how you do that. I just don't know how you do that.
I got two questions for EA. One, what kind of crack are you smoking? Two, may I have some?
Yeah.
I, may
I mean, at this
have some.
point,
At this point.
You Kenyon Barner.
Yes,
Unreal.
Kenya Barner. Come on. What are we doing here, EA?
I
What
don't
are we even?
know.
What are we doing? What's going on over there? Donnell Pumphrey's a 75?
Oh,
Wait,
my
I want to see. Hold on, go back up. I want to see the players he's better than. Robert Kelly, Terrence West, Jamal Williams.
Jamal
No
Williams.
way!
He's better than Jamal
Williams didn't actually play last
And
year.
he's better than Wayne Gallman, who actually played.
What the
Oh my
hell?
God! Better than
No.
DeAndre Washington, who was actually decent.
James
Oh,
Conner,
God.
Royce Freeman. No. But like,
This is
here's what
laughable.
kills me.
This is pretty
like,
bad. This is laughable.
Kerryon Johnson was a second-round pick. Royce Freeman was a third-round pick. Pumphrey was a fifth-round pick 2 years ago.
And then- who didn't play?
Who didn't
and
play?
he's rated higher.
How?
Oh, geez.
Yo, EA. Yo. Yo.
So needless to say, you're going to need to edit the rankings when you get
Get it
Yeah,
together.
that's the first thing I'm doing. I'm going into EA.
Oh
I'm just
my
editing like a bunch of
God.
rankings.
Stop with this.
There's no way I'm starting a franchise with these bogus like ratings. This is
I mean,
this
you
is pretty
still
bad.
have preseason to take care of. That maybe they'll go down. Maybe they'll go.
No,
up,
they will.
something like
They
that.
will. But the thing is,
Yeah.
I'm getting mine opening night. I always do the midnight release. I always grab it.
Yeah.
So like the
am I not surprised?
update, the roster update doesn't come out till probably
Fucking
like
camps out
the next week.
Gotcha.
That's when their first roster update usually comes out, and so I'm gonna have to edit the rankings. And even if they do a roster update, they're not gonna drastically change any of these ratings.
Right.
It's gonna stay the same.
Yeah, it's going to be like a point here or there.
Yeah,
Like,
here
it's
or
not
there.
gonna
They're
be-
gonna more so edit like the rosters heading into training camp. They'll do something like that. But yeah, these are bad. Darren Sproles is an 83, which is I guess apropos because
Yeah,
that's
it's
pretty much what it
fine.
is.
Over on YouTube, TTP
Sorry, I just-
TTP Ballin says, y'all better stop hating on Trey Young. 7-13 from 3 tonight. As he matures, he'll be nasty. I'll leave it at that, fam. Screenshot this if you want.
Give me
And he
Doncic
says-
all day.
I
He
already
says,
did
okay,
it.
I'm off that. What up, y'all? Yeah, EA is on some bullshit.
They need help on it. I will say, starting since last year's game, it started to trend toward the right direction, but they still got to do something about their ratings because their ratings are really they're flawed every year. Every year they're very flawed. How are you gonna have 7 players 99? Like I didn't have an
Yeah.
issue with Aaron Rodgers being 99, but you're gonna have 7 players as 99.
So
Luke
who's-
Kuechly's gonna be 99. Luke Kuechly's past his prime. He's still really good, but I,
I was
wouldn't
going to
put him
say, who's
99.
the 7
Too
players?
injured.
Do you have a list
Yeah.
of them?
I have it.
Rogers,
You have
Brady,
it?
Obviously,
Kuechly.
Rodgers, Brady.
Brown,
Antonio.
Aaron Donald,
Yeah.
Gronk, Luke Kuechly, Von Miller, Aaron Rodgers.
Antonio Brown.
Yeah, I guess I
Yeah.
can't really argue with.
No, I can. Kuechly, no. Von
Kuechly, I
Miller,
disagree.
no.
Yeah, I probably won't put Kuechly.
Yeah.
on. Maybe like a 97.
So yeah, sorry. That's
Yeah.
I'm looking at the wide receivers now. But go ahead.
Julio is the second highest ranked. Nope. I'm out on that.
You have him first. He's 90.
No, I'm not having him. I'm probably putting.
They have Antonio.
I probably put Hopkins ahead of him.
Antonio Brown
Out
99.
of these guys, I probably
Julio
have Hopkins
98.
second.
Odell 95.
Yo,
Hopkins
Alshon ahead of
94,
Mike
yeah,
Evans. Oof.
Keenan Allen. This is funny because the way they made this was exactly my top 6 wide
I bet
receivers.
Charles. I bet Charles will
I
keep
had
that one.
Antonio
Alshon above Evans. He'll
Yeah.
keep that ranking.
Which one? Hold on. what was
Alshon
it?
above
Alshon
Evans.
above Evans. I bet you keep that ranking.
I'll
the
keep
same.
that ranking. Look, my boy Diggs 90. That's
Yeah, I
something
saw
that's
that.
good. I've been saying Diggs is very talented. Although Adam Thielen should be higher because I don't see him yet. Adam Thielen should not be an 88. He should also be 90. Sorry, he's just as good as Stephon Diggs.
Devontae Adams, 88. Yeah, no.
Emmanuel Sanders should not be 88.
No, not
Julian-
anymore.
Manuel Sanders.
Maybe
is an
2
88.
years ago.
T.Y. Hilton's 89. I guess
Yeah,
that's
I'm
out.
not on board with that.
Larry Fitz is not 80.
Larry
89.
Fitz's corpse is 89.
Demarius is 88. Jeez.
Again, 2 years ago, maybe.
Brandon Cooks 87. Tyreek Hill should be higher than that.
Jarvis, 87? Nah.
Wow, Jarvis
No.
87. No way.
No.
Sorry.
No.
Allen Robinson, no, not 87.
I'm okay with Allen Robinson actually at 87. That doesn't bother me.
Pierre
Pierre Garcon and Jordy Nelson both at 86 bothers me. You're going to
Sorry,
wait.
no.
Amari Cooper is the
Yikes.
same as Pierre Garcon and Jordy Nelson. Get
Yeah, no.
out of here. And again, Amendola, 85. Come on,
Deshaun-
dude.
Deshaun Jackson's 85.
That's respectable for a Nelson Aguilar. Nice
Nelson
little
Aguilar,
84.
84.
That's solid.
I would argue he should be ahead of Deshaun and Amendola, but
I would
that's-
definitely Amendola, without a doubt.
Kelvin Benjamin overrated,
Ugh.
84. I don't like that at all. Paul Richardson, they put at 84.
Stop.
Oh, come on. Are you serious
Stop.
right now?
Chris Hogan, 83.
Travis Benjamin, 83.
Yeah, the Eagles receivers
Oh,
got
there
some.
you go, I
They
like
got.
that.
They got.
They
83.
gave love to Mike Wallace, 83.
So they got a 90 and 84. 80. That's a solid. Whatever Mac Hollins is at. It's a
Okay,
solid
this is the
receiving
one
core.
Robert Woods is not an 83. He was the Rams' #1 wide receiver.
Yeah, he was
last
very
year.
good last year.
He deserves to be a high 80s. That is so far out
I'd
of the
put him
wide
in the
receiver group.
86 range.
83? Come on, give the guy some respect. Put some respect on his name.
Put some respect on his name.
Come on,
Devin Funchess. Yeah.
Devin Funchess.
Great.
So you guys should just not
Tyler
get the game because
Lockett.
every ranking is wrong.
Yeah.
Not every ranking.
Just most of them.
The running back rankings were worse than this.
Cole Beasley, 81. Get
Out of here!
out of town.
He's a better rapper than a wide receiver.
Stop.
Did you guys see his? Let's do his rap
Rapper than
album.
a
This is
wide
like speaking
receiver.
Spanish to me.
I know.
I'm sorry. I'm going to stop.
But yeah,
I'm gonna stop.
Brandon Marshall,
So,
81.
basketball.
Yeah. What happened to basketball?
All right, so
What's a
yeah,
bas-
go ahead,
listen,
basketball talk. Go ahead.
So listen, I actually really like the Wilson Chandler trade.
I'm liking it more, and I like from some of the stuff you showed me. I'm liking his attitude coming in here.
Yeah.
I think he's a tough player, and you got him for nothing, and it
Yeah.
it maintains your cap flexibility
Yep.
for next year. Because I believe at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, I saw that they're projected to have about $42 million in cap space.
That's
next
probably
year.
about right because Reddick will be,
He'll be
Reddick's
off the
only here
books
for a
again.
year. Mears only here for another year. The kid they signed, Bielitsa,
Yeah.
he's only here for a year. Yeah, so they're going to have lots of flexibility
Yeah.
there. One thing that I've been saying, and I wrote something about it, is I think their bench is better. A lot of people loved Bellinelli and Ilyasova. They killed them in the Celtics series. Those
bad
two,
shot selections.
those two,
You want to
not
talk about bad shot selections by Bellinelli?
bad shot selection.
Yeah.
Also, they can't play defense.
Defense.
Neither one
Yeah.
of them. They try. Like I'll give them both. Like they. It wasn't an effort thing. Like they both tried. They both hustled. They're just not athletic
capable
enough.
of-
They
yeah,
can't.
they're not. Yeah.
Chandler and Bielitsa are better. Like that's an upgrade over
For sure.
over Bellinelli and Ilyasova.
I would agree with that, and I do think the one thing that Ilyasova did get you was rebounding. I thought he was really good on the boards,
he's a good offensive,
particularly
especially offensive
board,
rebounder. Yeah.
I take
Um,
charges.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing positives out
No,
there.
but I would agree with you. I like the upgrades on the bench, and again, it didn't cost you much to do it.
It costs
I-
you nothing. It costs you the mid-level exception with Bielitsa, and it
Right.
costs you $12 million in cap space. That's going to be gone at the end of the year with Chandler, but you actually got draft picks back for absorbing his salary.
Yeah, and let's not forget that they are still in the hunt for Kawhi Leonard, and seemingly are the favorites, the heavy favorites.
Vegas
if,
says so.
if he is moved to go to Philadelphia. Do you believe if he comes here that there is a chance, in fact, that he would possibly re-up depending on
there
Yes.
better be.
I think there is
Yeah.
a
There
chance.
better
I
be.
do too. I think
Dude. So I will say this: NBA Twitter is like amazing, and
Twitter's amazing.
Marcus Thompson, who writes for the Athletic, he he had the best tweet about Kawhi's situation.
Okay.
He said, "Kawhi is like Tupac when he was arrested. Whoever gets him out has his loyalty,
there it is.
and that's what it is with Kawhi. You get him out of San Antonio, you've won his loyalty."
That's a great tweet, by the way.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
So
when I
someone-
saw it, I was
I
like,
love
"That's
it.
As
gold.
someone who's very, very, because I'm worried about him not resigning. Like I'm
Sure,
like if you,
I get
I'm
it.
very concerned. Like
It's a risk.
it's very risky. If you were to put a percentage and give a reason as to why you believe that in that percentage of him resigning, if we do trade for him, what would it be?
So
Real quick, Ryan Brodo did chime in, said,
Brodo.
"Good evening, gentlemen.
Bro,
Kawhi and Chandler better than Sarge and Covington. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
The bro, Mr. I nicknamed myself. We love you chiming. We hope that
I would say this though.
Ryan's on the shelf right now, so we hope you're feeling a little bit better.
Ah,
buddy.
dude, sorry to hear it. That sucks.
yeah,
Yeah, he's all right. He'll be back.
Yeah.
you better be back, bro.
The only thing money wise, I don't know how that would work. Chandler might have to be included in that deal. Although with Covington's money going,
Well, that has been the
and
possibility that I've
they'd
also heard
have
that
to
they
take
could flip Chandler too.
They'd have to take Bayless's money. If you wanted to keep Chandler,
Right.
the Spurs would have to take Bayless's
Which is
money
not-
on,
which is
which
not an
you'd have to
impossibility.
hope. but you'd probably have to give up more in that deal, or you'd have to take on one of their bad contracts or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the one thing that they're trying to bring around. They want to try to get rid of that Patty Mills contract with the Spurs.
I would take Patty Mills here in a heartbeat.
I would take Patty Mills.
I like Patty Mills.
I like Patty Mills.
Yeah, I would take Patty Mills here in a heartbeat.
But I know that the Spurs also want to try to get one of those first-round picks as well.
Yeah.
They probably want
take it.
That's 2021. See ya. That's
Well,
good.
no,
Bye.
the Spurs want 3 first-round picks at this
That's the
point.
rumor.
That's the issue.
But here's the thing. 3 first-round picks doesn't bother me. The 2021 pick, whatever, it's an extra pick anyway.
Yeah.
If you're a good if you're as good of a team, even if you're as good as a team as just you were last year,
right,
you're going to be picking in the late 20s anyway.
Yeah, so
that's worth getting Kawhi Leonard to give up those picks.
Exactly.
That's fine. I'll take that. Yeah, there's a chance one of those 3 guys, the Spurs might hit on one of them, but I'd rather have the sure thing. Give me Kawhi. And so to answer your question, Charles, if we're going to put percentages on it and reason why, if they were to pull off a trade for him, I guess maybe I'm being a little optimistic. 75% chance he resigns.
Really?
And I say that for a couple reasons. One, I do think there's something, as much as like Marcus Thomas was making a joke about that, I think there's something to that. If you get him out of San Antonio, I think that froze. Whatever.
Okay.
If you get him out of San Antonio, I do think he will have an appreciation, especially because Brett is the one who's the GM right now. So
Okay.
Brett got him out of there. He knows Brett. He's worked with Brett before. I think Brett, and this is not taking anything. Greg Popovich is arguably the greatest coach in NBA history. He's a phenomenal head coach.
Yep.
But he's not. Him and Brett Brown are different. They don't have the same personalities. I think Brett Brown can handle Kawhi's personality. Brett Brown is more. He's younger than Popovich, and I think he can relate to the players more than Popovich can. And I think that's a part of it too. Then I'd say the other reason is, if Kawhi comes here, there is a really good chance that they're going to make the Eastern Conference Finals. And guess what? They'd have a chance to beat that Celtics team if they have Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
They got a shot in
Yes,
that series.
yes.
especially with the upgrading with that they've done with the bench. Absolutely.
Exactly. So if you let's say theoretically the trade is whatever, a couple first round picks, and you're giving up Dario and Covington.
Right.
That still leaves you. Your starting five is going to be
I'm not worried about
Simmons,
that. Yeah.
Redick, Kawhi, and probably Wilson Chandler at that point. You start him at the 4 and Embiid. That's not bad.
No.
Then you're bringing
an
McConnell,
improvement.
Fultz, Bielitsa, and Amir off the bench, and then one of your wings is going to have to do something between Justin Anderson, TLC, and Korkmaz. One of them's got to be a player of some kind.
I like
Or you got
I like
Jordan,
what
you got
I'm saying
Jordan
from
Bolden.
him.
Korkmaz, yeah.
Well, not the last 2 summer league games. He's not been. He hasn't made a shot since he hit 40 points.
But
the other night, but for those reasons, I think if they make it to the conference finals or maybe even the NBA finals, why the hell would he want to leave? If they're going to give him the money he wants,
Well, before
and he's playing with players that he clearly gels with, and that they have talent, can make it to the finals.
before that report came out, I was under the impression or under the worry that his heart is set in LA. And with LeBron there, well, this was before.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, LeBron being there now, why wouldn't he want to go to LA, team up with LeBron, beat the Warriors, and all that? But
they're
then,
not gonna
but
beat the
then was that,
Warriors.
but then that
Correct.
They're not going to
quote-
beat the Warriors.
was that quote that came out
They're
saying
the
that
third best team
he
in the
does
Western
not want to
Conference.
go to LA because he doesn't want to play
I've
second
heard that.
fiddle to LeBron. That came out. I'm like, okay, so maybe he doesn't go to Lakers. But either way, I'm just really I'm trying to weigh, like, to me, if the chances are that it's just a rental, I don't do it. I don't do the trade. If it's most likely that he's not going to resign with us, like I can't take that risk. I don't like the thought of a rental. But if there's a very, very good chance, like if you're saying 75%, and you can really, really convince me, and you're really stuck on that, you think that chances are really high that he stays, then okay, I can buy into the trade. But I have to be very confident.
But
I would
here's the
need-
thing. Look at the Paul George situation and how of a sure thing he was going to L.A. at the end of the season.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm pretty sure L.A. themselves
We're sure.
charted all
fans were
over
definitely sure.
themselves.
Yeah.
They were absolutely sure that was going to happen. In the financial landscape of professional sports now, you don't see guys that guarantee extensions going forward unless they really do go to the team that they want to go to. And when's the last time you've seen a guy sign an extension when getting moved as part of as part of the deal.
Doesn't happen very
Well,
often.
I know.
Can't think of the last time it's
I
happened.
know that if he gets traded, he can't sign an extension. It would have to be a sign and trade, which is not going to happen, obviously.
Right.
So it wouldn't be one of those scenarios where he trades and then it signs right away.
But in all intents and purposes, the expectation is that he's going to agree to an extension. So it's like Manny Machado. People say, I wouldn't trade for him if he's not going to extend. He's not going to extend. It doesn't matter the sport. These guys,
I completely.
But these guys, he's a guy who could make $500 million next year in baseball. But guys just aren't going to do that. It's a different game now. There's more power in the players' hands.
Yes.
To where there's no benefit to them to, even if they intend to stay with that team, there's more benefit to them at this point to do it on their terms later on. They're not going to sign an extension now. They could say, I might stay in Philly, and then a team gives them something absolutely absurd and ridiculous. So the NBA is a little tough to kind of outbid at this point. But the extenuating circumstances now that happen with so much movement in sports now to where you don't have guys that stay with teams for so long, there's no benefit to them to do that. So the idea that people say, these guys, I wouldn't do anything until – I never even think of that anymore. Because you're not going to get the guy to sign an extension. It's just not going to happen. It's not smart for him to do that. But I look at this situation and I say, you're absolutely right. He's worked with Brett Brown before. What he said about not wanting to play second fiddle to LeBron, I think, is huge. And the idea, realistically, do I think he would go to the Clippers? I really don't. I don't think that's gonna be the
If you're
best
talking about
option.
I think he might. I could see him doing it.
He could. But I would bet, knowing that there's a chance that the Lakers are off the table, playing here for a year with Embiid and Simmons, to me, and playing with Brett, with having a guy that he's familiar with, that he's been around, would be a very strong possibility. I would say 65%. And the other thing that I really kind of consider in this is, and we talked about it, some people get concerned about free agency, and maybe it was just me and Frank we might have been talking about it. Some people get concerned with free agency and, people don't want to come to Philadelphia. Why wouldn't they want to come play with Embiid and Simmons? You have to remember, too, when you're talking about these guys who are veterans, like, listen, we know how special it is. We see it day in and day out. But they still have to prove a track record of consistency.
Yep.
So if they go back this year and they get Kawhi, and this is now year 2, that they're making a lot of noise in the playoffs, that becomes a trend. And that's when guys really look and say, all right, Philadelphia is a team that is definitely on the rise. They're showing the growth. Then you start looking at, they're off the board, but a guy of the caliber of a Paul George and those kind of guys, like next year Kyrie or Clay, if Clay decides to leave, or if some miracle Durant decides he's going to test the market. I don't think it'll happen. But if that
Jimmy
happens,
Butler, Kyrie,
these guys might look at Philly and say, all right, this is 2 years in a row. There's definitely a spot here for me. And so I get why guys might be hesitant to do it this year. And say, and Embiid's still hasn't had a full healthy season. I mean, it was freak what happened to him getting hit in the face. But it is what it is. 2 years, and I think that they will really be in a good position to sign guys.
One thing I would say with Kawhi is that he's kind of like it's been like kind of reported like he's like kind of a different dude. Like he's not like a typical superstar. He's pretty quiet. He's kind of like a lunch pail guy. He wants to just work hard, keep his head down.
Yep.
What better place for him to do that than here, where we have the king of social media as our starting center and superstar, and then our point guard is dating a freaking Kardashian. So like,
let's hope it doesn't go beyond that.
Yeah, seriously. What better place for him to be? You know what I mean? For him to go about his business and be appreciated, and be the best player on the team. Meanwhile, also not having all that attention on him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's like that perfect balance.
No, I hear you.
So I think from that perspective, it would be good too. Like if he goes to LA and he's got to play with LeBron, he is under a microscope, man. Like it's not like if for a guy just like if he's being accurately portrayed as a guy who just wants to put his head down and go about his business,
Ain't happening.
that is not the spot to do it.
Not just LeBron. You have
balls?
Lonzo Ball, and
The
you
balls.
have the Hollywood show out there.
I love, by the way, that was my favorite thing about LeBron signing is all the young players tweeting out, "Oh yeah, the King's coming." It's like, dude, he's not gonna let you stay here. Like you are so temporary. Like you're either getting traded now or you're getting traded next offseason for an old veteran.
Or you have the typical LeVar Ball quote where it's like, "Oh, Lonzo's going to make LeBron better.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah, sure.
Lonzo's,
Get out of here,
LeBron's
LeBron.
going to sign a Big Baller Brand.
Yeah.
That'll be huge for Big Baller Brand.
God.
I own Big Baller Brand."
He's the
Damn it.
worst. He's
He
the,
is
he's
the
the
worst.
absolute
The
worst.
worst.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the worst.
Frodo chimes in. He says, "I will return." He says, "I think the Sixers have been prepping for possible replacements for players like Sarge and Covington with recent signings, all because of an imminent Kawhi trade. Also, mark my words, Markelle Fultz will have a huge season. He'll be one of the biggest stories of the team's season."
That's why
I would
do
not be shocked.
want-
Me,
Yeah.
That's why I do not want
I think
to trade
all of
Fultz.
us. I think all of us have kind of been in agreement with Fultz as
Yep.
far as
It's too
that
young
we
to
all
give
think.
up on the
Yeah,
kid.
it's just too young.
Way too young.
And that's my thing is if you're not, to your point, Charles. If it's a rental, then there's no way in hell I'm giving up Fultz.
That's what I'm saying.
Can we-
yeah.
Because I
want
want to know if I can't re-sign Kawhi, if there's a chance I might lose him, I got to keep Fultz because I
Yeah,
got to
exactly.
see if maybe he could be a star.
Exactly.
I need to have at least that piece to hold on to. I'll give up Covington. I'll give up Sarge. I like Covington more than anyone in present company, and Dario Sarge. Everyone loves Dario Sarge, and he's a really good basketball player.
But you know what they are.
But exactly,
You know what they are.
to get a superstar the ilk of Kawhi Leonard, who might be, you could make the argument is the best two-way player in the entire league.
Mhm.
I'm giving him up. I'm making it happen.
No, I hear it. I just to
The only
me,
players on the
it would
roster-
just worry about rental. Like
those three.
I'm just worried. Like to
Yeah.
me, any scenario for me where Kawhi turns out to be just a rental, that's a huge blow.
But
But it's
he's
got to
right.
be bold.
To me,
you have
yeah.
to be
But-
bold though.
right.
Sometimes
I
you
get
got to
it.
make a move
I
like
get
that.
it. That's why
And Kawhi will respect
depending
that.
depending on what you're giving up, that's where it's all about how risk averse you are, and depending on what you're giving up. Now, what was the rumored trade? It was Dario, Covington,
and the
and the
2020 first.
That's nothing.
I'd give that up in
Okay,
a heartbeat.
Nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if I saw another scenario with that threw in Fultz there.
Nope.
Sorry, no.
Yeah, no.
No.
I'm out on
There's
that.
Not even
no-
that.
I'm out on that.
It's not even that. Take that. Even if you take him out of the equation, I don't believe in giving up 3 first-round picks. I just think that's mortgaging way too much of the future
See, I would.
for.
Listen. If I'm giving up 2020,
Well, I'm looking at 2021.
That's
because
gone.
Technically,
Yeah.
you can look at that as we never really
Never
had
really
it. To
had
begin
it.
never
with.
really was
Yeah.
our pick.
So I
That was
get
just
that.
a throwaway. Yeah.
Then I would give up if they want 2 additionals, I'd give up next year's and the years after to get Kawhi. Yeah,
Because we're going to be good.
because they're
So it
going to be a
doesn't-
good team. So I'm not worried about it.
Right.
I'm giving it up. But then you also they have another piece that could, and a guy that I'm kind of left out when I was talking. I mean, Zaire Smith is a guy they just took in the first round. I mean, that could be a
How's
guy.
he been looking? I haven't been watching too much, but
he's raw. He's a raw player. I mean, he literally just turned 19.
I heard he's
last week.
athletic as hell, though.
He's a freak. He's going to win a slam dunk contest one day. Like, he's a freak athlete, and I think he's got the makings to be. I think he's got the athletic ability and the want to be an elite defender, but I
Nice.
just think he's got just a lot to learn. He was like a power forward at 6'4"
What the hell?
because he could just jump, but
Uh-huh.
no one ever taught him how to be a guard. He doesn't have a terrible handle. He's got a pretty quick first. I think there are a lot of tools there to work with, and I think he seems like a coachable kid too. So I think he could interest the Spurs. And again, let's say it's Covington, Sarge, the 2021 pick, and Zaire Smith. Yeah, I'm pulling the trigger on that too.
I would.
I
move
would
Zion
too.
for
Yeah.
that.
I think I would too.
And I like Zaire. I happen to like Zaire a lot, and I happen to think he's going to be a pretty good player. But he's a
Yeah.
little bit of a project.
Yeah.
I'm just not of the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, and to add on to that, Paulie's right. That's why you don't throw Fultz in there because you have to have a backup.
Exactly what I was saying.
You have to cover. The
Which is
backup.
why that's what's come out is that they are refusing to give up Fultz, which I totally get.
Yeah, which is good. Because at the same time, like, you're trading what? So, like his trade value right now is as low
The
as it's ever
lowest it
gonna be.
will ever be.
Why would you trade something
Yeah.
that low?
Sure.
Why
I
would
think
you
that's a part
sell
of it too.
low
Yeah.
when there is that definite potential that he could be a lot better, and then it makes you look even worse on the back end of that trade.
And here's the thing, too. Everybody wants to throw in the towel on Markelle Fultz. But how many guys have we seen that have been, I don't even want to say like late bloomers, but guys who, for whatever reason, don't have it together, whether it's something between the ears, whether they're raw, and they just need to be in the right situation
Nelson
with the
Aguilar.
right guys.
Well, that's a good. My thing is,
Listen, I mean, he's not like an absolute superstar, but he's had great years and took a team to a Super
Yeah.
Bowl. That's Alex Smith, who was a #1 overall pick previously.
yeah.
I mean, there's guys across all sports who have been late bloomers. Jose Bautista in baseball was a guy. It took him a while to get going, but once they find it, and they really, it's like a switch goes off.
Exactly.
Now, have we seen guys that are busts? Absolutely, you
Sure.
have. But you're talking again. You have to factor in that this is a 19-year-old kid.
Yep.
Who had a lot of pressure put on him to begin with.
Sure.
And that's what happens when you're the first overall.
And he was
pick.
groomed. And not only that, like he was groomed. It's like, cool, we have Simmons and Bede. Here's our third superstar. Like he was built
Right.
like they would build him like that immediately, which was unfair. Like let's be real, that's unfair for a 19-year-old kid to put that on him.
Pressure.
And then, but so my to your point, like my kind of comparison would be, and it's a guy who he was compared to when he was being evaluated before the draft, James Harden.
Yep.
James Harden sat on the Oklahoma City bench. I mean, he was okay off their bench for the first couple seasons. Then he became more of a contributor. But it wasn't until he got traded to Houston that he became a star.
And now
So-
he's your reigning league MVP.
Exactly. So my point is, it's not it's not a apples to orange comparison, but
It could be one.
it could be. They have, and they do. I mean, and I'm not directly comparing them, but if you look at their styles, they have the same thing. They kind of have that herky-jerky motion, that hesitation, that they have a similar offensive game. They can both facilitate a little bit.
Yeah.
So I mean, they have a similar game. Not to say that Harden is, or Fultz is as good as Harden, but that's just a style comparison.
Yeah. I hear you.
And then also, like you said, you factor in the fact that James Harden himself was a little bit of a late bloomer. I mean, it happens. Sometimes guys develop. Everyone develops at different stages. Well, my thing is this, and I know you're gonna laugh at this. Picture yourself at 19 years old.
Oh God.
Oh dear Lord.
Exactly. I picture myself at 19 years old, and
Good
I'm
Lord.
like, yeah, holy shit. Good
Lord,
thing
what
no
did I
one.
know?
Good thing no one was judging me, saying, "Yep, that's what that guy's gonna be." For the rest
They
of
might
his
have been
life."
judging me, but
Well, sure,
I defied the odds, guys.
sure.
You
You and me
defied
both,
the
pal.
No, but and really,
I'm still alive, so I definitely defied the
no,
odds.
you aren't kidding on that.
Uh,
But no, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly too. You're talking about a 19-year-old kid who was thrown into a lot, and again, not that it's not warranted. We know that happens, but the thing that it's always like sports are a contradiction. Like, why were we fine with Carson moving up and getting Carson at number 2, but Carson sitting for whatever 1 or 2 years and waiting for him to develop, but because this kid was number 1. We can't sit back and give him a year or 2 to get his legging on the ground, and really, for all intents and purposes, figure it out.
Exactly.
Because it's a rabid fan base.
It is it's not even just here.
Patient, quick to
It's
judge
not,
fan base.
It's really not just Philadelphia.
Yeah,
though.
that's fair.
It's the
Yeah.
sports
No, it's national.
culture
It
to
is,
begin
yeah.
with now. I
National
need
media, yeah.
instantaneous gratification. Now, I look at it, and again, with Markelle, how long did we sit back and watch shitty teams, shitty draft picks? Look at Michael Carter-Williams right now.
Ugh.
Like what
Who?
that guy is. He came out guns a-blazing, and he took the absolute
Guns
downhill.
a-blazing.
I saw the best joke,
volume guy.
best MCW joke I saw was like someone posted a video of his NBA debut where he was really good. Someone's like, he literally had his best NBA game in his first game.
yeah.
And he really
I
did.
remember that. Yeah, I remember.
He almost
that
had
game.
a quadruple
Yeah,
double.
I remember that.
And then he
game.
did nothing.
Nothing else.
But it is. It's one of those things. Like, take a seat. Just take a step back and think about it. Like, why is it okay for certain guys to get the opportunity to be in the same position? A young guy, a young guy put in a position where a team trades up to get this
Yeah.
guy to make him the franchise guy, and we're comfortable enough. Now, I know it's different sports, but when you talk about a guy who you are building your team around, a team that, for all intents and purposes, was in some sort of a rebuild mode, they were in a tweak mode, a little more of a rebuild mode. And it's okay that we could sit back and let this kid be what he's going to be because, we'll enjoy the fruits of it later on, which came a lot faster than we expected. but it's not okay to give this kid the benefit of the doubt. I thought he looked good on defense this year. I thought defensively he was more than adequate.
He's showing signs.
He'll grow, right?
All around.
And I
he's showing
thought
signs.
his offensive aggressiveness and abilities
Attack
showed
the
in
hole,
that.
yeah.
Showed now in the Miami series, not so much.
Yeah,
But
he was like non-existent.
what you saw in the
playoffs,
regular season, I thought was more than encouraging to be like, all right, this kid's gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he won't be a superstar guy, but maybe he'll be a second or third guy on a team. You already got
Only has
one.
to be the third.
You already got
Yeah.
1 and 2 in place.
Yeah.
So
All he really has to do, honestly, if his jump shot comes back and he can shoot the basketball consistently, he'll be fine.
Yep.
Because he's going to get open looks.
Yep.
He's going to get plenty open. With how often they're going to double team Embiid and how often Ben Simmons is going to get to the paint, he's going to get open looks.
You have those people that are skeptical because they don't believe that him and Simmons can play together because they don't believe Fultz can play off the ball. They don't think that he has the capability. They think he needs the ball in his hand, which I don't agree with. I think he has the capability of playing both off ball and on ball.
My thing is this too. You look at like what the biggest. Look at Houston. They got Chris Paul, and everyone's like, "Oh, not enough basketball." They were Chris Paul and James Harden.
yeah.
They took the Warriors for 7 freaking games
Yeah.
and didn't have Chris Paul in Game 6 and 7.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can make it work with 2 good ball handlers.
Yeah.
Not only that, it's 2 good passers. There's no such thing as having too many good passers on a team.
Mm-hmm.
There really isn't.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you have both of those guys leading your offense, I'm perfectly okay with that. I think they can. If Fultz can just shoot decently from 3, he doesn't even have to be elite. Just okay.
Yep.
Shoot like 36%, and he'll be fine.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Brodo says Markel Fultz and Nelson Aguilar, they will have a lot in common.
Hell yeah.
I'm
Agreed
on board
with
with that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Some of the other moves around the league, probably the more shocking, most shocking. I think it originally was probably Paul George deciding to stay
Sure.
until
Boogie.
Boogie Cousins decided he was going to sign with
Boogie.
the Warriors.
Good for Boogie, man.
Yeah,
I say.
all right. I'm going to give my opinion on this.
Give yours and I'll see which one I match.
I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, the Warriors, this and that. Listen, the Warriors did what they're supposed to do, which is solidify a chance to win.
Yeah,
a title.
I don't really blame the Warriors either.
No, I don't blame Boogie, but what I don't like about the Boogie situation is he immediately felt the need to come out and defend himself, and he lied. He said nobody was giving him offers, which it came out in days later he did have a meeting set up with New Orleans, which was obviously canceled because he agreed to the deal. From what I read, Boston did intend to make him an offer, but were not given a chance. And I think I read 1 or 2 other teams. I know that.
Were the Lakers supposedly in on him for a hot
Yeah,
minute?
the Lakers.
The
were
Lakers didn't get a
supposedly-
chance. There was another team. It might have been Washington, but don't quote me on that. That would
make sense since they got
Okay.
Dwight
They were
Howard.
trying to make it work to maybe a sign and trade, or go after him. There was an intention there. The fact that he made it a "woe is me, nobody was after me" kind of a mentality was complete bullshit.
Yeah.
And that I don't like because that's a character issue for me that you like. Why lie about? There's no big deal. Like if I'm Boogie, I come out and say, "Listen, this is about probably around market value I would have got. I got a chance to rebuild my stock with this team, and I get a chance at a ring. It is what it is. And no, I don't think anybody would really fault the guy for it. I think looking at it, there's no need to lie about that.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, dude. Technically, he didn't lie. Who made him? No one made him an offer. They had meetings set up, and no one made him an offer.
But that's also because, from what I read, even Golden State employees were so shocked that he signed that day because it was like within hours.
I get what you're
Contact
saying.
and
I
done.
get what you're saying.
And my
But
thing
he's
is this,
not-
they
it's-
probably. So listen, yeah, New
you
Orleans
have to-
wanted to meet with him. Boston was planning to make him an offer. Golden State said, "Yo, come here, sign for the minimum, sign for the whatever mid-level exception. We're gonna rebuild your reputation. You're gonna win a championship."
But
they progressively pursued him.
But the tone that he made it was that nobody was interested in him.
I get what you're
But he
saying.
didn't say
He
that.
made it.
read it though. He was insinuating
I
to
don't know.
defend
He tried to make
himself.
himself look better.
He was
than-
trying, right?
I get what you're saying.
And honestly, he didn't do anything wrong, so I don't know why he would feel the need to do that. Like he
Yeah.
really could have came out and said nothing. Could have said absolutely nothing and just signed. But that left a bad taste in my mouth the way that went down. But in the end, I don't blame the guy. You go and get a ring. My issue is because I hate the NBA soft cap. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah,
It is.
I don't
It's
like
such
the
a
soft cap
shitty
either.
rule.
I
And
don't.
all the in the mid-level and all that shit.
So
and,
essentially, I mean, what's the point? There's no and then the mid-level, you could just go and sign there for nothing.
and you can just sign dudes for vet minimum, and that doesn't count. Like it's
And you
it's-
pay a luxury tax.
Yep.
In the NBA, with the way the NBA is, they make money hand over fist.
They sure
Yeah.
do.
So these teams are not concerned with having
Exactly.
to pay any kind of a luxury tax. Now you're getting sponsors on your jersey and everything else. There's so much money that the NBA makes right now.
Yeah.
Luxury tax is nothing
Yep.
to the NBA.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's my issue that I have with it, and my overall issue is more with the NBA. I think the CBA is terrible, the way that it's structured, and it also contributes to why there's so much power in the players' hands and less in the owners. And
Yeah.
some people will say, well, the owners are multimillionaires, so I don't give a shit about their power. I get it, but in the end, I'm an old school guy. You know,
I
the
get you.
boss
You're
is the
not wrong.
boss.
You're not wrong. I
You know.
think another thing that was, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but I think another thing that kind of like rubbed me the wrong way in a bit, and I kind of laughed at, was the fact that he's always been very, very critical, and he always trash talked the Warriors and the way they operated and what they were all about, and then he was like you said, quick to sign with them right off the like. To me, it's kind of like Kevin Durant-ish, where Kevin Durant years ago before he signed was like, I would never do that. I would never bail to win a championship, and then he went to the Warriors.
They
again,
all do it.
Again, it's a change of
They
heart.
all
I
do
get
it,
it. I'm
though.
not saying that you can't have a change of heart. It's just, to me, it's just funny, and it's kind of just like you kind of went did a total 180 there. So
I
to
mean,
me,
Giannis,
it's just
that's
to me, it's funny. To me, it's
Giannis
pretty
just
funny.
said that the other day. That I'm never gonna leave the Bucks. I'm gonna win a championship in Milwaukee. Give it 2 years.
Yeah, give it.
Just
Give
say
it
it. Like,
time,
and
give it
that's why
time.
these guys shouldn't even they just shouldn't say shit like that. Just don't even say it because
Mhm.
it's not. And it's not like you said, Charles. It's not like it's like I'm not even mad at them for doing it. It's just like just don't say that. Just
Yeah.
don't give your fan base
It sets
hope.
you up. It sets
yeah,
you
like
up
it
to
sets
look
you
bad.
up. Yeah, just don't say that.
Yeah.
Just say like, yeah, I love Milwaukee. This is where I'm at. Like that's all you got to say. You don't have to say like I'm not ever leaving Milwaukee. Like that's a stupid thing.
Because
to say.
then you pretty much trap yourself if
you do.
if you end up leaving, and this goes for any sport, any player. You say a quote like that, you end up leaving. It makes the fan
Makes you
base
look-
really look
Yeah,
makes you look really bad.
Well, you guys are hockey fans, right?
Yep.
sure.
What's his face that just left St. Louis and went to Toronto?
You mean left New York? Tavares?
Tavares.
Yeah, the island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's his hometown.
But here's the issue with that. He could have been moved at the trade deadline and they could have got an asset. He asked the organization not to move him. And the issue, because I have friends that are Islanders fans,
Mm-hmm.
it's not the issue that he went to his hometown and played for that team. It's that he could have done something to benefit
Right.
them in the end, especially for the tenure that he had there. And he basically pulled the, I don't want to go anywhere, don't move me, and then he
Then he
packed
moved.
up and left town. So I totally get that because the comparison I had gotten from them, my friends that are Islanders fans, was I totally feel how you felt about Pujols. And I said, I don't hate Pujols for doing it. I mean, he did what he did, but what I didn't like was Pujols went out and signed a 10-year contract for after he retires for an organization he had nothing to do with and basically just left. That's fine. Do whatever you want to do. But Pujols just left. Like, to me, a guy who sits there and says, don't move me, don't get an asset back for me, when there are
And
teams
then-
that would have wanted to,
Oh
to
yeah,
sign
people
for
would
Tavares.
have. People would have.
They would have lined up to make a move for him. To kind of leave them high and dry after all that, that's shitty.
Mm-hmm.
That's real shitty.
I get that. I wasn't aware of that
Yeah.
thing. So I
I didn't know
understand
either
it.
until I talked to them.
I didn't know that that was part of it.
Nitro Freak, who is on, he hosts
Yeah,
the Hooligans on
Hooligans
Saturdays.
guy.
Yes.
What's going on?
buddy? He says, we need Kawhi. I'm going to go down all his comments, and then I'll get TTP. He says, we need Kawhi. And he says, Markelle Fultz isn't anything special. Bold prediction, he's going to be a B-type player. And it's possible. I think he's special.
If you have two A's,
A B is
Yeah.
fine.
You need some B's.
There you go. He says if you're assuming he's a rental, you don't go after. So actually, I will intertwine their comments because they're kind of
Responding.
tied together. TTP, he says he's back. He says 52 wins without him. Ben and Joe are only going to get better. Free agency next year is much better than this year. I disagree, Nitro Freak, especially if he's going to cost us Dario or Markel. I don't mind Dario. Markel, I don't want to give up Markel yet.
I don't want to give up Markel.
Nitro Freak responded and said, if you're assuming he's a rental, you don't go after him at all, only if he's guaranteed to sign.
He's not guaranteed. There's no way he's
Nobody-
yeah,
guaranteed.
that's the thing. There's
Yeah.
no guarantee.
Nobody in professional sports guarantees to sign anymore. I'm sorry, guys, it doesn't happen. So the idea that I wouldn't go after a guy if he doesn't sign an extension doesn't happen. You take the risk, knowing you're going to take that risk. It's just the way the world is. You know, it's almost like with the financial world. You want to gain something, sometimes you have to put a little risk in an investment. That's what you would have to do here.
Risk averse.
Sorry, but by the end of the year, what's going to be higher, Tommy Hunter's ERA or his annual average annual salary?
Oh, God, it might be the ERA at this point.
It's not great right now. Sorry.
TTP agrees that I'm just catching up. TTP agrees that you should have to sign an extension. Not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Yeah.
Nitro does say I'd pack Dario and Markel's bags myself if he guaranteed an extension. I
Well,
would
yeah.
too.
If
he
he's guaranteeing me an extension, sure. Sorry. Oh, hey,
Wow.
fumes.
I did not want to cough directly into the microphone. there.
Hey, hot mic.
This is what I will say. If by the off chance that he is the one professional athlete in all four sports that says, I will guarantee an extension before I move, then I'll tell you what. I would trade both of them. I'd trade Covington, and I'd trade 2 draft picks for him.
Yeah.
Hands down, easily. But you're not going to get that.
Yeah, you're not going to get that.
So, and TTP says no brainer. He says, but let's be real. Even with him here, we're not better than Steph, Clay, Draymond, KD, and Boogie. Maybe true. Boogie will not be with Golden State after next year, though. And
Draymond's not far behind that.
or Clay, one of them.
Clay will. They'll
I think
re-sign
Clay will
Clay and they'll
stay.
let Draymond
Yeah.
go if that's going to happen.
After Draymond.
There is actually
says-
there's been some speculation. I guess I'll call it that.
Yeah.
That if Boogie really works out and Draymond is really stuck on getting the max, which supposedly he is, then that they'll just ride it out with Boogie for a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a rumor out there. I don't know how true that is or if that's even feasible. But
Yeah. Nitro Freak says he loves the show. We love you too, buddy. Hooligans, it's a
Welcome.
great show, guys.
Welcome to A2D,
Yeah,
buddy.
it's one of our latest additions here to A2D on Saturdays. Please check out the Hooligans. Nitro Freaky kills it over there. Yeah, so they're kind of just talking about like possibly a guarantee and all that. Broska says Pulse is an awesome guy with the Angels. No, he's not. He's actually a money hungry scumbag, and I can tell you that. For a fact. But you know, to each his own.
taking valuable money that could be used to help Mike Trout's prime.
Well, listen.
The Angels did it. Yeah.
I will say this, and I am on record, and I could show the Facebook post the day he moved. People asked me about the Albert Pujols move,
Phillies won.
and I may have even talked to you about it then, and I said it was the best thing that could happen to him because there was no way I would give him money, and for an organization like the Cardinals, they would have had no money for anybody else going forward. So that's a little baseball talk for you guys. That's my
I
random
appreciate
drop-ins on baseball I'm going to have to throw in with Charles. So they're talking about he could be bluffing about the LA thing. And again, I don't think they were on when we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
Kawhi said he doesn't want to play in LeBron's shadow, so that's why the Clippers are in play. But we discussed it earlier. I do think that there's a chance that he would re-sign here, having the ability to play with 2 guys like Ben with Ben and Embiid, playing for a coach. that
Especially
he's
if we
played
get
with
far.
Before.
Especially if we get far.
Little taste of
which,
that
which we,
Little taste of the
Okay.
Eastern Conference Final or beyond
Yep.
changes a lot of things.
Definitely
And
does.
the one thing with LeBron being out of the Eastern Conference at this point,
It's
there's
us
2
and
clear-cut
Boston.
favorites. And again, nothing is guaranteed, but there are 2 clear-cut favorites.
Yes.
And look at the playoff teams from last year. Let's pull up all the playoff teams and let's see who's gotten better in the Eastern
Yeah, pull it up.
Conference.
I want to read a quote real quick. It's from
You read that. and I'm
Eli
gonna
Eli
pull up.
Manning was interviewed on the Simpson and Lefko podcast, which is great, by the way. I love Adam Lefko. He says when asked about Saquon Barkley, he said, "His quads are the size of my waist and whole upper body. I've never quite seen anything like it. I don't often stare at another man's legs, but in that case, you can't quite help it."
Local guy, former Drexel alum Damian Lee, has signed with the Warriors.
No, okay, cool.
Just putting it out there.
Did you guys see the
Toronto has Toronto gotten better? Who, by the way, fired the coach of the year.
No, they are the most stagnant franchise in the entire Eastern
How awkward
Conference.
was that?
Washington, that's so weird.
It's so awkward.
Washington went out and Washington got
Dwight
Howard.
Dwight Howard.
Have they gotten better?
Here's my hope.
Soft as cottonelle tissue.
My hope is forget
Not a sponsor, by
Kawhi
the
and that
way.
team falls apart and Bradley Beal comes to town.
There you go.
I love Bradley Beal here.
I like Bradley Beal.
Cleveland clearly is a basement dweller at this point, the way they're structured right now.
Oh yeah, they're screwed.
Indiana.
Indiana's a good team. They're on the
Indiana's
rise.
a good team.
Oladipo, man.
Would you put Indiana on the level of Philadelphia or Boston right now?
No.
I could see them being a 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Okay, so Indiana's going to be competitive. Miami.
No.
No.
Miami's got a lot of big contracts on that team.
Yes,
too.
they do.
Yep.
Hassan
Lots and
Whiteside.
lots.
Oh, what a terrible offer that or deal that
How
was.
about the Knicks? Yeah, sorry.
Oh.
Sorry, some trolling there. Sorry.
Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a good team, maybe 4. I'd put Indiana over them.
They'll contend.
Yeah, I put Milwaukee slightly behind Indiana. Yeah.
So that's your Eastern Conference playoff teams. Is there anybody on the board of those other teams that are clearly worse than they were last season that you would now say, okay, they're clear cut to jump in and be competitive at the top
It's
4
the s-
spots?
It comes down to the Celtics and the Sixers,
Yeah.
and then Indiana would be the closest team. Raptors are what they are. They're like a mid-level, like they're a good team. They're not a great team. They are, you know what I mean. They might win 60 games next year, but then they're going to lose in the second round of the playoffs. Like that's just them.
They're not
Yeah.
built for the playoffs. They're built for the regular season.
Yes.
And I absolutely think it was a huge mistake for them to fire their head coach. Yeah.
Sorry. Real quick, because I was curious, I went on the Madden rating.
Can you
Madden
stop
ratings
pulling
again.
Madden stats?
No,
For
come on.
Christ's sake.
Last one. They put Jordan Reed at 94 and Zach Ertz at 91.
Okay.
I'm done.
Wait, what was it? I missed it.
Jordan
Reed at
Reed,
94.
Mr.
I
I can't
s-
stay healthy.
I know. I saw
Jordan
that.
Reed,
yeah,
94.
Well,
I wasn't
Zach
even
Ertz
going to bring
is-
that up.
Zach
Zach
Ertz
Ertz
is a
doesn't get healthy
91.
either,
Thank
but-
you. All right, sorry. Made me mad.
All right.
I gotta stop looking at it for tonight.
But yeah, so clearly those are the better teams. So Kawhi now looks at this, comes here and plays in Philly, plays with Embiid, plays with Ben, plays for a head coach that he's played for before, well, in a different capacity, but played for before. And Paulie made a great point. Gets him out of San Antonio. Is the guy to get him out of San
Win his
Antonio.
loyalty.
And I do agree
I never
with
looked
you.
at it that way.
My
where
only
he
concern
would
is
be
Kawhi.
happy.
It seems like Kawhi's uncle's weird. Like he's got an agenda.
Supposedly,
yeah.
he's got another side of it is that Kawhi has family in Jersey.
There
Does
you
he?
go.
That's a thing that's out there too, apparently. So maybe that would make him more inclined to
Interesting.
be okay
Yeah.
with being on the East Coast.
So again, I think Paulie said 75% earlier. If we bought him in, do you think he would
That
resign?
would be my number. 75% he
75%.
comes back.
I mean, to me, I'm looking at it. You look at all that scenario with the Sixers. If he wants to continue to win, because he'll get paid here, he wants to win. This is where he's going to stay, as opposed to he could go to L.A. and the Clippers. Would he go to LeBron? He's not going to get past the Warriors. Sorry, that's not going to happen.
Yep.
There's nobody. The only team, if he joined them, in my opinion, would be Houston, which would be an impossibility for him to join them without them completely gutting their team
Yep.
to create a possibility for him to extend the year after. So that's where we're at, guys.
Okay, cool.
Let me see if we had any more on Facebook.
Did you guys see real quick? Did you guys see the video of the Joel Embiid and Jason Tatum playing 1-on-1?
yeah, I saw that and Bamba.
And Bamba, yeah.
And there was video of Fultz, but they didn't actually show him
his jumper.
taking a
Yeah,
shot.
they didn't show his jumper.
Yeah.
Nitro Freak said, "You're right about players not guaranteed to sign. It's a big game of poker. It absolutely is." TTP says, "I'm cool with risks, but not at 2 players and 3-pick risk." Agreed. Paulie said he might give it up. I don't know that I would give up 3. I would definitely wouldn't give up 3 picks. I would.
I would.
I had said earlier. I don't know if it was on the air. If I'm the Sixers, I'm saying I'm calling their bluff. Talk about a game of poker. This is the offer. Dario Covington, 2021 pick. This is the offer. It's not going to change. It's a hard stand. They need to move him more than we need to get him.
That's
at this
another
point.
thing. Why would you increase the offer?
They're trying to get
If
the
you're the
Sixers to
Sixers.
bid against themselves because it's very clear that the Sixers are the team they want to deal with and they want to
Yeah.
get Markelle. We
Yep.
can't trade Markelle because you have to have a backup plan. Now, that's it. I'm saying that's your offer. Take it or leave it. Leave it in there. And guess what? If a team wants to blow their fucking pants off and give them something crazy, then by all intents and purposes, by all means, go and do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Not going to affect us. If we went into the season as we are now, we're still the number 2 team in the East, and that's what people got to remember. So that's nobody's going to meet that ridiculous asking price at this point. TTP says, I agree there's a chance that he'd resign here, but San Antonio is asking for too much. I'm not trying to say that won't happen, but if it does, it won't go to August or September. When Pop realizes his value is dropping day to day and he has to make a move. At that point, the asking price will be reasonable for us. If Blake, you're right. He says if Blake Griffin gets his shit together for the Pistons, may step into a playoff spot, the Pistons. How do you feel about that?
I don't know.
The Pistons.
I just think they're too far away.
Blake Griffin is so meh. He's the most meh player in the NBA.
I don't see
I
him.
still. It's funny because like
Blake Griffin to me is like a flashy guy to watch at points, but he's not like a game changer.
totally
type
forgot
of
he was
player.
there.
here's what it is. Now, so when they played the Sixers played the Clippers last year, right? I remember it vividly. He was great in the first half, really good. I think he put up like 18 in the first half. But 2 things stood out. One, I think he only wound up like 25 points. So he scored 7 points in the second half. Dario Saric started playing defense against him, started getting physical with him. He didn't like that too much. He only put up 7 points in the second half. Another thing, he got switched on Embiid defensively, and he just laid the shit out of him, and Embiid dunked on his ass.
When we get off the air, I got to tell you something. TTP Ballin says Kawhi's uncle lives in South Jersey.
There you go.
That is
There
true.
you go.
Nitro Freak says he says Jordan Reed. I'm combining names again. Jordan Reed is better if he stays healthy. It's an unbiased opinion, but he can't stay healthy like ever. LOL. So I mean,
Hasn't
Well,
been
here's
healthy
the
the
thing.
last 3 years.
No, but here's the
Yeah.
thing: with all those injuries, from what I've seen of him, especially since last year,
It slowed him up.
when he's healthy,
Yeah.
he's now not the same player. He doesn't have that athleticism.
And not only that,
I like Jordan Reed. I
Sure.
think Jordan Reed's a really good.
Oh,
tight
when
end.
he 2 years ago,
Oh,
He was
you
the
calling
best tight
me?
end in the
He
league,
was like
yeah.
arguably the best. He was top 3 at the worst. But that's what I'm saying. His injuries have slowed him
That's
down.
and my thing is this: if you're going to give Carson Wentz an 86, I'm presuming that's because of his injury.
Right.
So if you're going to give him an 86,
Then
why
why-
the hell's Jordan Reed a 93?
That's the thing. There's
No,
no
that's true.
consistency. There's
Yeah.
no consistency with this.
It's
thing.
weird.
TTP says Duncan Carmelo 2.0. He was talking about Blake Griffin earlier.
Yeah.
That's a fair assessment. Yeah, but guys, good stuff on YouTube, good stuff on Facebook, and earlier on Periscope. So we appreciate that, Paulie. Been fun having you, buddy. Paulie's
Hey,
going to be
man.
taking a little hiatus, so this will be the last
Extended
show
break.
with Paulie for a while.
Yep.
But keep an eye on Paulie. He's doing big things right now.
He's doing
guys.
awesome stuff over at
So,
NBC.
Yeah, we appreciate him joining us from NBC Sports Philadelphia. He's been here since we started Birds of a Feather November. So we do thank him and appreciate him for all the stuff he's bought.
He might
with
be a
us.
TV star next time.
We'll see.
Oh,
Maybe. I don't know
no,
about
no.
all that. But and Frank, thanks for stepping in. Frank Vespi doing a great job over here producing the show.
No problem.
My man.
Vespi.
Thank you to our sponsors. Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours. Stream Smart, Scanzano Sports. Live from the Real Talk Studios.
Ooh, that was close.
On a2dradio.com. I know, I almost said something else. Appreciate the fam. You guys keep the show going. Please like and subscribe on YouTube and on Facebook. Give us a follow. For Chucks, Chrome, Frank, and for Paulie, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next week.